Live inside the Baylor locker room, Grant Taft talking to his troops. Let's listen in.
I want you to turn right now to the closest guy to you, and I want you to grab him by the hand and look him in the eye and say, I'm going to give everything I got in this.
It's at times like these you understand that they're just teenagers. But remember, the Baylor Bears still have hopes of a possible Cotton Bowl berth. They have 2 defeats, 4 overall. But as wacky as the Southwest Conference has become, they have a chance if they win out their remaining games. A positive, motivating coach is Grant Taft. And today he'll test 10th-ranked Arkansas live in an historic battle under the lights and under the sunlight in Fayetteville. This bear has spent the last decade hunting his prey in Chicago. But in the late 70s, Mike Singletary was a bear in a different neck of the woods, leading Grant Taft's Baylor Bears to their last conference championship. Now in his 18th season, Taft has another great linebacker in James Francis, whose all-around abilities have made him one of 5 finalists for the Butkus Award and have helped Baylor's defense become the best in the Southwest Conference. Hatfield has a cast of offensive stars on a 7-1 Arkansas team. James Rouse rushed for over 100 yards in each of his last 2 games. Quinn Grovey is 19-3 as a starting quarterback. He's been on target with 59% of his passes. And Derek Russell is a big play receiver. He leads the Hogs with 4 touchdown catches. The Razorbacks won another title. Hatfield's Hogs are primed. Welcome to a Southwest Conference shootout college football Saturday. Live from Fayetteville, Arkansas, over 50,000 plus will be on hand. It's homecoming in November in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Hello, everyone. I'm Tim Brando, welcoming you to the first of 2 CFA games that you'll be seeing today and tonight. Every now and then, there's a crazy season in the Southwest Conference, but it has not been since 1984 since a team with 2 losses represented this conference in the Cotton Bowl Classic on New Year's Day. Now, Arkansas is not thinking about that because they have only 1 defeat, and Vince Dooley, there's no question the Baylor Bears over the years have historically given Arkansas fits. What's the key to today's game?
Well, the key is the matchup between Arkansas's nationally ranked offense against Baylor's very talented defense that's now playing to its potential. And it is talented. The most talented is James Francis. Coach Grant Taft has called him the best all-around linebacker that he's ever had. And you're going to say, wait a minute, what about Mike Singletary? And as Coach Taft says, look, he's in a class of his own. You can't compare him. But what Francis is the total linebacker, excelling in every phase. And look here in the running game, the tackles and the tackles for losses. Then the passing game, the interceptions and the passes broken up. And also in the kicking game, 10 block kicks, and 6 of them already this year.
Vince, we've been honored the past couple of weeks to see Major Harris and Tony Rice, 2 legitimate Heisman candidates at the quarterback spot. Today, junior Quinn Grovey of Arkansas gets his chance in the limelight. How good is he?
Well, Quinn Grovey is in the same class with Tony Rice and Major Harris. He's just as good a runner as both of them. And he's an accurate passer, just like the Major. And he's also an excellent field general like Tony Rice, and he uses all of his weapons. We'll take a look at these weapons. Barry Foster, the fullback, 5.9 a carry. Rouse, the tailback, 5.8. And Grovey, 5.6. Now that some average.
It really is, and they really do determine the way they use their weapons in a much different way from past years. They've had the wishbone in the past. Ken Hatfield went away from that, and it really has diversified his offense, hasn't it?
Well, he's given up the limited wishbone set for a multiple set. You know, the long-range success of any coach is be flexible, be adjustable. Kenny Hatfield made a gutsy decision. After winning the Southwest Conference, he decided that he needed to diversify and expand his offense. He turned it over to Jack Crow, and all of a sudden we have a more diversified offense, a more effective offense and that was some tough decision by Coach Kenny Hatfield.
Something that we're going to be watching for throughout the course of this afternoon and evening is these Hogs on the offensive side of the ball. It's homecoming, and they love their Razorbacks. And now the Baylor Bears. ESPN's College Football Saturday, Baylor versus Arkansas, is brought to you by Goodwrench. Mr. Goodwrench knows it's not just a car, it's your freedom. And by the U.S. Navy. You are tomorrow. You are the Navy. We'll see how good the Baylor Bears and Arkansas Razorbacks are when we return to Fayetteville. Just day in Fayetteville, Arkansas, even for this time of year, incredibly warm, 81 degrees. The wind is always a factor here at Razorback Stadium. No chance of rain. Arkansas won the toss. They deferred. Baylor will take the wind as they kick off. You're looking at Jeff Ireland, who will handle those duties for the Baylor Bears. And back deep for the Hogs, Barry Foster, who's also the starting fullback. Very elusive as a kick returner. He's the single safety awaiting at the goal line. You see the wind takes it 3.5, 4 yards deep, and Foster will not bring it out. And it's 1st and 10 at the 20. And now your road handler's starting lineup for Arkansas. Quinn Grovey will be at quarterback. Behind him, two fine backs, James Rouse and Barry Foster. You'll hear a lot from Derek Russell deep today. Tim Horton, the possession receiver. The tight end, Billy Winston. Up front for the Hogs, Elbert Crawford will be at center, flanked by guards Todd Gifford and Mark Henry. And the tackles, Jim Mabry, their best, and Rick Apolskus out of Houston, Texas. 1st and 10 Arkansas at their own 20-yard line. James Rouse jitterbugging to the 23-yard line, and Baylor's defense looks this way. Santana Dotson and Reggie Howard, the defensive tackles. The ends are Robin Jones and John Godfrey. The linebackers outside, France is the All-American with Curtis Hafford. Gary Joe Kinney is the middle linebacker. And the secondary, Malcolm Frank and Charles Bell, the corners. The safeties are good ones, Robert Blackman and Mike Welch, the big hitter. 2nd and 7, Arkansas. Grovey, and this is where he's at his best, gets the first down out to the 32, a 9-yard gain. Mike Welch made the stop for Baylor.
I think we can check early on. Traditionally, Arkansas has had to go a long way to score this year. They haven't gotten a lot of turnovers from their defense. So we'll check to see if they can indeed go the long way against this Baylor defense, and I think that's going to be one of the real keys in the ball game. We'll keep checking on this as we go along. Look at the multiple success. This is unbalanced.
And they go inside to Foster, twisting and turning up to the 34-yard line. Got about a yard. James Francis out of Lamarck, Texas, number 38, the All-American, made the stop.
Look at Barry Foster. He's got one of the most unusual stances in modern football anyway. In fact, you'd have to go back to Tennessee in 35 and 36 to see that's the way their offensive linemen used to line up. But it does give them better vision and an ability to go left to right equally well.
Almost a Yogi Berra type stance back there. 2nd and 9. Foster beyond the 35 to the 36-yard line. Santana Dotson, the sophomore, the left side tackle, made the stop.
Number 77, Dotson, is a good one. He's going to be an all-conference player maybe this year and possibly All-American in the future. Got a great future ahead of him.
The Bears have Arkansas just where they want them. A 3rd down and 7 situation. You think pass here, and they go with the lone setback. Grovey, sprint out action, getting away, but the Bears finally trap him at the line of scrimmage.
Well, Baylor has enough speed that they keep coming at you. They come at you with 3 or 4 different players. There's Gary Joe Kinney, number 42, the middle linebacker, who put some pressure on him, flushed him out of the pocket, and then Satana Dotson and also Godfrey, number 43, in there. They've got a lot of great pass rushes, and they'd like to get Arkansas in a passing situation, and Arkansas doesn't like to be in that situation.
Allen Meacham to punt it away, and Anderson, Greg Anderson, back deep at his 34. He has a big seam, and he gets it all the way back to midfield, and that's where Baylor takes over, 1st and 10. Brad Gable will be at quarterback for Grant Teff. The running backs, Eldwin Raphael and Jeff Murray. The receivers, Greg Anderson one side, Miller the fleet-footed one on the other. Stutzman, a quality tight end. They'll use him in the passing game. McCool is the center. He's flanked by John Turnpaugh and Marty Jones, and the tackles are Matthew Gant and Larry Vasbinder. 16-yard return of that punt by Anderson to give Baylor great field position just shy of midfield. Gable over the middle for the tight end, broken up by Mick Thomas, the linebacker. And Arkansas defensively sets up this way. Chad Rowland will anchor the front at the nose. Michael Shepard and Tony Ollison are the tackles. The outside linebackers, Kent Benson and Bubba Barrow. The inside backers, Ty Mason and Mick Thomas. The corners, Curtis Banks and Anthony Cooney. And Aaron Jackson and Patrick Williams make up a very youthful defensive secondary for this team. On 2nd and 10, it's the delay to Raphael. Edwin Raphael has excellent speed out of Lawton, Oklahoma. Gets it down to the 45 of Arkansas, where it will be 3rd and 5 for the Bears.
Dan, the key here on this side of the football, Baylor has been able to move the football pretty good on a lot of teams, and I think they might be able to move the football against Arkansas. But the big question, can they put points on the board? Can they get it in the end zone? They haven't done that very well. We'll watch how that goes today.
Just underway, 11:35 and counting in the opening quarter with Vince Dooley. I'm Tim Brando. 3rd and 5 now. Dump pattern, tipped and intercepted. Patrick Williams. Out of bounds at the Baylor 43. The tight end, the intended receiver.
As Gable throwing to the tight end Stutzman, it bounces off of his hands into Williams' hands, number 24. Patrick Williams, a strong safety, has not made a lot of big plays this year. The defense has not made a lot of big plays this year. This is the first time that they really have given the Arkansas offense great field position in quite some time. This is what we talked about as far as the key in the ball game.
Now from the Baylor 43, Grovey running the option, and Baylor snuffs him out, but look at him turn the other way. Out of bounds, back at the 42-yard line. Fans will scream because of that tough hit by Baylor in the backfield. Robert Blackman coming up to make the stop, but he was fair game. Way back, a loss of 15 yards.
Well, we go back to the interception. Here's Stutzman. He turns, good position, but it goes really right through his hands. I don't know how he missed it. And then, of course, right into the hands of Patrick Williams.
All conference a year ago, Vince.
What a great example of the Baylor speed on that. Because Grovey can run, but he couldn't outrun Baylor. They were everywhere. There's so many of them that run good.
2nd and 25. Rouse comes back with some misdirection up to the 45-yard line. Gary Joe Kinney, the middle linebacker, energetic leader of the Baylor Bear defense out of Mesquite, Texas. James Francis is a quiet leader on this team. It's Kinney that keeps this team motivated and pumped up, and that's, of course, something that Grant Teff has always wanted on his defensive team.
Kinney is the real middle linebacker. He's the heart and soul of the defense. But Francis is maybe quiet in voice, but when he makes things happen.
No one could be more dominant in this league on either side of the line of scrimmage. On 3rd and 22, Grovey keeps and only gets a couple, and again piercing through Gary Joe Kinney from that middle linebacking spot. And it's punt formation time now for Arkansas.
Darren Franklin, number 97, from the backside, so they're slowing up this option game early. And this is really challenging Arkansas to give them the great field position and then stop them without a first down.
Meacham will punt it away again, averaging 31 yards so far today after an abysmal kick that was returned nicely by Anderson, 16 yards, his first time. Better punt, more of a line drive variety, but it gets a Baylor bounce up to the 29-yard line where it's down. So only 24 yards this time for Meacham. Baylor in good shape when we come back. ESPN's College Football Saturday, Baylor versus Arkansas, is brought to you by the exciting, innovative, unconventional new spirit of Dodge, and by Econo Lodgers of America. Spend a night, not a fortune. With Vince Dooley, I'm Tim Brando in Fayetteville, Arkansas. A jam-packed crowd of well over 50,000 for this one. And the Baylor Bears operate now from just shy of their own 30-yard line, 1st and 10. Raphael tripped up. Otherwise, he may have had a big gain. Chad Rowland, the nose guard, over there to make the stop. Baylor likes this play, Vince.
Yeah, big Chad Rowland, number 51, who is a heck of a good player, runs around the center, comes back in and throws that arm out and trips up Raphael.
Chad Rowland out of Sherman, Texas. Baylor operating with the football and the wind, which is a factor in this game in the first quarter. And that's the time remaining. Down he goes. Back at the 25, Michael Shepard from Monroe, Louisiana, and Ouachita High School. Other scores on this college football Saturday. Michigan leading Illinois 10-7 in the first. USC atop Arizona. They're hopeful of the Rose Bowl, of course. Chris Fowler will update you on all of these games at halftime. BYU out in front of Air Force. That's a major bowl significant game. And Texas Tech on their way against TCU. That'll be Spike Dykes' 8th win. Columbia getting past Cornell. Third and 13 now for Baylor. And we've got problems in that Baylor offensive front. Well, we talked about it earlier, wind, and it is a factor in today's game as we pick up the call here from our head referee this afternoon.
Well, the ball is dead. Delay of game. Still be 3rd down.
Thank you, Lloyd, and there's that wind, Vince.
Tim, anytime the wind is 15 miles an hour or more, and it is that today, not much more, it becomes a factor. And it's a little bit of a factor right now. Not a great factor, but you can see that it's blowing pretty good and enough to affect the ball, both throwing and kicking.
3rd and 18 now from the Baylor 22. That's Murray. They use him out of the backfield a great deal. He's down at the 27-yard line. Jeffrey Murray, the senior from Houston, Texas, stopped by Bubba Barrow and Patrick Williams.
Jeffrey Murray is their leading receiver, and he comes out everywhere from out of the backfield. He's already caught 34 balls, twice as many as anybody else. Excellent receiver out of the backfield. Not a great runner, not a great fullback, but boy, he can catch the ball.
And in this pro-style attack, Grant Tample utilizing a great deal. Pete Rutter to punt it away, the best in the Southwest Conference. He gets off a good one to Horton at his 17. Tim Horton up to the 33-yard line where it's 1st and 10 for Arkansas when we return to Fayetteville. With 7:13 remaining in the first quarter, Tim Brando along with Vince Dooley. The first of 2 CFA games you'll see today on ESPN. Kenny Hatfield along the sidelines. Boy, what a career he's had, both at Air Force and then later at Arkansas. This is his alma mater. He played on the national championship team they had here in '64.
He's a real leader in the coaching profession, Kenny Hatfield.
1st down, 10 now for his Hogs. Roby pitches it to Rouse. Rouse, who they say is running the best he's ever run this year, is stopped by Welch at the 39-yard line. He got some Heisman attention early on this year, James Rouse.
What a great example of Grovey running the read option, the veer option. He read it perfectly, pitched it out to Rouse, and you're right. Rouse goes all the way back to the Liberty Bowl when we played Arkansas in the Liberty Bowl. He had a good night that night. Had us coming back.
Had an ankle injury last year that stymied him somewhat. 2nd and 5 now. And they go right up the gut for nothing. Rouse again piled by Francis and Jones. Francis, who had 19 tackles in that Texas A&M game, and it's amazing. You talk about what a great game he had, and Grant Tepp said it was the best game he'd ever seen a linebacker have for him. He followed it up against TCU, and he was even better, according to the coach.
Well, he thought that there never would be another way you could have a better game, and the very next week he had a better game.
3rd down and 3. Rouse will dot the I. Grovey ad-libbing and caught. Curtis Hafford, the right side linebacker from Jasper, Texas, converted from strong safety, made the stop.
Grovey can scramble with the best of them, but what Baylor is doing right now, they're bringing so many people, like Kenny, the middle linebacker, and the others, and they all got good speed, and they keep rotating them. And even Curtis Hafford, number 99, is one that has not played a lot recently, except at the outside linebacker, of course.
On 4th down, the punt, a low one and a bad one. And it's fielded by Anderson. Boy, questionable decision there. Back to the 27-yard line. The Bears still have the win, but can they do something with it? We'll find out. Bo and his Raiders know football, and you'll see them tomorrow night against the Chargers. But today you're seeing the Bears and the Razorbacks in the Southwest Conference. And Alabama and LSU will come up following our game. 1st and 10 now for the Bears from their 27. Raphael on the sweep, the toss sweep up to the 33-yard line. Anthony Cooney, Ty Mason involved, along with Mick Thomas, the right side linebacker for the Hogs of Arkansas.
Raphael's a good open field running. You get him in the open field like on the sweep or the draw plays where you've got the defense spread a little bit. He runs exceptionally well, but of course he's not very big.
You see Notre Dame winning today, Colorado on their way against the Cowboys, and Chris Fowler will keep you posted on all the activities at halftime today. Raphael. Well, he loves to use those shoulders, doesn't he, Vince? He's an interesting running back. Not necessarily fast, but quick as he gets it up to the 38-yard line, and Shepard and Rowland combine on the stop.
He's got his feet under him and his shoulders square, which enables him to cut immediately with any daylight that he sees. And I'll tell you one thing, though. The Baylor offensive line is giving him some running room because they're knocking back Arkansas back a little bit.
Derek Dooley got a victory today. Virginia on their way to that showdown with Maryland next week. And how about Penn State's performance and Maryland's performance? They're in great shape for that game with Virginia next week. 3rd and 2 now for Baylor. Raphael gets the 1st down, and that's very important for this game. Aaron Jackson makes the stop. Baylor is without their power running back, Lincoln Coleman, today, and short yardage situations were going to be difficult for Coach Taft.
Well, this is take a look at this, Timmy. This gives you a good example of Raphael in the open field. And Baylor is changing sets on Arkansas and trying to change sets to get Raphael outside. Aaron Jackson, the safety man, made the tackle, and he's going to be a key because he's very young in the Arkansas secondary.
Gable doesn't like the set. He's seen a lot of sets and has been throwing a number of them at Arkansas, and he calls the timeout. 4:03 remaining in the 1st quarter, and this meeting dates all the way back to near the turn of the century, 1904. Arkansas with the lead. In their last meeting, very unlike past meetings between these two, a 33-3 blowout, with the Razorbacks having won 4 of the last 5. 3 of those 4 were wire games that we documented earlier today on a report that we had during the scoreboard show.
Well, I don't think it's any question that the open date has some advantages. I think it is helpful defensively because it also gives you a chance to rest, but it does hurt a little bit offensively because you get away from your timing and your routine.
Other scores today,
Northwestern going down to Purdue. That game in the fourth quarter, the Boilermakers had the lead for Freddie Akers, who once coached in the Southwest Conference. Michigan State over Minnesota today. Bill Mallory's club leading Wisconsin handily in the fourth. The Sooners over K-State, and South Carolina leading Mac Brown's Tar Heels. Boy, it's been a rough year for Coach Brown down in Chapel Hill. First down and 10 now for Baylor from the 40-yard line. And again, we point out they do have the wind in the first quarter, and it will play a role the rest of this day. Murray in motion. Oh, option pitch to Raphael. And he's sacked behind the line. Aaron Jackson and Patrick Williams come up from the strong safety and free safety positions. Actually, Williams called the rover in this scheme.
Well, you've got to take the option out of the backfield. This is a little counter track option. Pitches out to Raphael, and you'll see Aaron Jackson on the move making the play. He's just been there a while. He's a great athlete. He used to be a running back.
Ben Floor was injured and out for the year, and they had to move him. Jackson's been hampered with a shoulder problem. 2nd and 13 for Baylor. Offset I formation. Quick drop, and the quick throw nearly picked off again. Jackson coming up to give support in the pass intended for Reggie Miller, number 19, the Bear flanker.
Here's a pass to Miller, but watch Jackson. He's coming up fast. Makes a nice play, goes in front of the football, gets his hands out, but now he's come up, Tim, twice very fast. I wouldn't be surprised if they wouldn't try to beat him deep.
It does appear that the Baylor secondary has come prepared for the short passing game that Baylor's throwing at them today. 3rd and 13. Over the middle. And that again is the running back or flanker in this scheme. Greg Anderson this time coming out to make the catch. A 14-yard reception to the 43 of Arkansas, and a Bear first down. Boy, they put so many back in the passing scheme. They throw out a number of receivers, and Gable setting records with that pass in the Baylor history books. Raphael, the second back through, pops it. Edwin Raphael. Touchdown. A marker back at the line of scrimmage. So hold on.
What a great run. He had some daylight. Here it is, holding. Raphael still down, I might add. I know Coach Taft is upset.
Well, you talk about a team with a lot of hard luck. Raphael is now down in the end zone, and if he's out, they're already crippled in their backfield. They have 3 running backs that are injured and out, and one other one that we mentioned, Lincoln Coleman, is suspended and out for this game.
Seems like the flags go out at the worst possible time. Here's a replay, and here's Raphael. He gets a nice block from Murray, and then he makes a nice cut, and he's got more speed than I probably gave him credit for. He goes right on by Jackson and goes into the end zone, but unfortunately it's called back for Baylor.
First down and 20 now for the Bears. Straight drop. Gable maneuvering and looking long, and it's incomplete for Murray. The running back again running long. Well, we talk about a hard luck team. Vince, we looked at the tape last night as Brad Gable, as you see, breaking the completions record, and that's a good group. Don Truhl, who of course challenged Roger Staubach for the Heisman in '63.
And he just went ahead of Cody Carlson, who had a fabulous career at Baylor.
Now in the National Football League. But we saw the tape of the A&M game, and by all rights, Baylor should have won that game.
That was indeed a tough, disappointing loss.
2nd and 20. Over the middle to Mims, and Mims breaks free. David Mims will not be stopped. Touchdown, Baylor. No, they'll rule him out of bounds at the 1. The linesman has him out of bounds at the 1-yard line. The back judge had called it a touchdown. Now he's ruled out of bounds at the 1-yard line, a 52-yard gain. There you see the linesman. And this is trouble for Baylor, because this is not a short yardage offense.
It has not been in particular. We're going to take a look at David Mims. Here's another speed guy. Catches the ball right over the middle, and watch him turn it on. Nice block on the linebacker. Another block downfield. Let's see if he steps out of bounds. Why would you step? Oh, he gets pushed out of bounds.
Just barely by Patrick Williams.
Patrick Williams pushes him out. Let's see. He's not stepping. He's being pushed out of bounds. Yep, that's it. Right on the 1-yard line.
And Grant Taft now has to come up with 1 more yard. And he had many opportunities inside the Texas A&M 5, but could not punch it in. That's certainly the storyline to this game for Baylor.
Well, you mentioned Lincoln Coleman, who was disciplined along with 2 others, and probably not failing to meet their academic responsibilities, as well as some disciplinary problems. But when you hear the ones that were suspended, Coleman, Pearson, Dillard, but Coleman is of the one. They're all important, but Coleman the most important because he's 6 foot, 215 pounds, and he's their short yardage goal line player. And this is where it's going to affect right here. They've got 1 yard to go, but they've got some very, very little backs to try to make it.
Vince, we asked Grant last night. We said, wouldn't you rather have a 1st and goal from the 8 than maybe the 2? And he said, yeah.
Well, I don't know quite that extreme, but I think I'd rather have 1 on the 1 than on the 8. I think I might could sneak it at least 2 times and get about a half a yard of sneak.
But I really believe he understood the point we were trying to make.
Absolutely.
Without Coleman in that backfield.
Well, let's see what he does. He's got sort of a counter sweep play that he might use those on. He runs a sweep.
Raphael behind Gilstrap, and you see they're stopped at the line of scrimmage again. Mick Thomas, among others, along with 46 Ty Mason out of Decatur. 6'2", 216-pound sophomore out of the state of Illinois.
He got just excellent surge up from the offensive line. And also an excellent block by Gilstrap, number 26, who is a very fine blocker in the backfield. And they like to get both of those fullbacks in there on short yardage.
Twin tight end look for Baylor. 2nd and goal from the 1. Mims gets it in. Baylor gets a touchdown.
Well, he didn't use his power. He used his sight and his quickness to find the daylight. Let's see, right here, watch him make the cut to the outside. He's not going to power in there. He needs to run away from people, use his speed, and go into the hole.
And Gilstrap did cause some trouble for those linemen in there as that lead blocker. Ireland with the extra point, and Baylor does get points with the wind in the 1st quarter after all. 7-0 with 1:47 remaining in the 1st quarter.
Here we'll see Mims again. The offensive line comes off, but you can see Gilstrap's block, and he slides outside in that open gap. So the young tailback Mims, who is just a freshman, sees extremely well, and he's got excellent vision.
That innate ability to slip tackles and
Let's
see an
right
opening.
here. There it is. He takes that daylight on the outside, gets his shoulders low, and goes in. Nice cut. And a smart cut, because he's smart enough to know at 5'9", 175, you're not going to knock people back.
Ireland will kick off for Baylor, leading by 7, and Foster back deep. Again, a reminder, Arkansas with 1 conference loss. Baylor has 2. Boy, if they had beaten A&M, as you look at Mims, Mims says, "Hi, Mom."
All right.
That's why he's so happy. But with 1:47 remaining in this 1st quarter, the Baylor Bears have the lead. And that wind again carries the ball beyond the end zone for a touchback. It'll be 1st and 10 Arkansas at their own 20-yard line. Other scores in college football today. Colorado, the 2nd-ranked Buffaloes, leading 31-10. That game now in the 3rd quarter. The Buffaloes hoping to stay unbeaten and battle for the national championship against Notre Dame. A lot has to happen between now and then, though. Grovey on the option, pitches out to Rouse. Nothing doing, slipping on the turf. Curtis Hafford, number 99, the right side linebacker, came over to make the stop. There he is, out of Jasper, Texas. We talked about the speed, Vince, of this Baylor defense, and one of the keys to their success has been moving players around defensively.
Well, they moved them from linebacker to end, and then from safety to linebacker, and we'll talk about that more in a minute, but that has helped the speed of the defense.
Up the middle to Rouse and a big hole. Now the speed. Had it not been for an angle, it would have been a touchdown. Mike Welch pushed him out, but we've got a marker down back at the Arkansas 33-yard line.
There's a flag on the play.
Rick Apolskis, number 69, the right tackle, is talking with Lloyd Dale, the referee. And you see the preliminary indication holding against Arkansas, and that'll back them up.
Okay, here we are, and Francis, who's got excellent speed, doesn't have the speed to stay up with a Rouse, and Rouse has really come into his own.
As good as he is, Rouse has got outstanding speed.
Well, he's got outstanding speed, but there's speed, and then there's speed, and then there's real speed.
There's tailback speed and linebacker speed.
Yeah, when you're 250 pounds, it's hard to be running with that kind of almost a track sprinter speed.
Second down and 7 yards to go with a minute remaining here in the first quarter. Grovey, Rouse again, same play that he broke for the big gainer moments ago, short of the flag. Down at the 30-yard line, could be enough for the first down. Gary Joe Kinney made the stop along with Daniel Morgan.
Rouse is running with a lot of confidence, and when a back has confidence, it really makes a difference. Good surge.
Rouse out of Little Rock, Arkansas.
As I mentioned, he had 80 yards almost against us 2 years ago or 3 years ago in the Liberty Bowl when we played. Then he had a down year. Then he didn't even have a good spring at all. In fact, he was hurt most of the spring. But then he got some competition from E.D. Jackson, and that really helped him to be a back or not to be a back.
Yeah, he and Ron Dickerson, both good backs, backing him up. On 1st and 10, Grovey to the short side of the field, and he just falls on it at the 30-yard line.
You have to be impressed with the containment by Baylor. All of the defensive players seem to all be in the right spots, in their lanes, and not giving Grovey any room to try to find some daylight.
It's homecoming, and the sights and sounds are always a thing of beauty here in Fayetteville. It's 7-0 Baylor. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Back to Fayetteville, Arkansas. Tim Brando along with Vince Dooley as we get set for the second quarter of today's game. Game one of a doubleheader of CFA football. We'll head over to the Southeast Conference, the Southeastern Conference, and Alabama and LSU. At the conclusion of this one, now Arkansas with the win. Grovey had no pass attempts against the wind in the first quarter. And here goes Rouse, who was the bulk of Arkansas's offense in the first half. He had 34 yards rushing in the first quarter. Darren Franklin made the stop. Now, you talk about Rouse, what kind of a career he's had. Dickie Morton, Ben Cowens are ahead of him, but passing Bill Burnett, who was a star when Frank Broyles was challenging for the national title, and of course Gary Anderson, who had a great USFL career, and of course an all-purpose running back in the National Football League. He has a pro future, doesn't he?
Rouse is a big, strong, fast back, and he indeed has a pro future, and he's playing his best right now.
3 receivers are out, and Horton has it over the middle. At the 47-yard line, first down, Arkansas. Frankie Smith, the right cornerback from Groesbeck, Texas, made the tackle, a 13-yard gain.
Little Tim Horton has excellent speed, good receiver. Here's Grovey coming back, finding across, looking for Horton. Nice defensive play, nice pass. And Horton, who is a 4.4 40, and his father is a football coach. In fact, coached here.
Now it's Central Arkansas, the nation's #1 NAIA team. Grovey, boy. Well, you talk about the proverbial hop, skip, and jump past midfield to the 47-yard line of the Baylor Bears. Again, Smith, the 5'9", 177-pound junior, made the tackle.
This is what Grovey can do. He can read the option. He's reading it right now. The linebacker takes the fullback. He makes the cut. He's got those exceptionally quick feet. Goes up and makes 6-7 positive yards.
Nolan Richardson, the basketball coach, said of Quinn Grovey, he's the second best point guard on campus. Lee Mayberry's his best. And Arkansas is loaded in basketball, and you'll see them on November 29th as our college basketball season gets underway. Foster past the 45 to the 44-yard line. Michigan and Illinois, the battle for the Big Ten is tied at 10. And Kansas and Nebraska, a runaway. Well, you didn't want to be Kansas after what happened to the Huskers last week. Washington State with a touchdown lead, and Iowa State leading that mystery team from Missouri by a touchdown, and Amherst and Williams. Williams gets it done. The first unbeaten, untied season in 109 years for Williams.
There's Grant Taft, and what a fine coach he is. 18th year at Baylor. Fine coach, fine gentleman. In fact, we've probably got two of the finest coaches and two of the finest people in the business right here in the same field in Grant Taft and Kenny Hatfield.
First down and 10 now for Arkansas. Just underway second quarter. Horton in motion. Gets away from the pressure, and he throws it away. Well, had it been the Canadian Football League, it would have been a reception because Horton was there and was open. Grovey wanted to unload it and perhaps didn't realize how open Tim Horton was.
I think Grovey could have taken his time. He'd scramble out, got out of containment, had plenty of time, and Horton was wide open, but he was anxious when he saw him and just overthrew him. They're going to make this offense go. They're going to have to be able to run Foster, the fullback. He's going to have to get the 4 and the 5 yards. And then when that happens, then they can do all the other things.
Foster with the head up in that three-point stance, leading for Rouse this time. And Rouse carries it inside the 40 down to the 39. Gary Joe Kinney again out of Mesquite, Texas, making the stop. Hawkeyes here in Arkansas.
36. Hey, can I say hi to my mom?
Actually, Arkansas wanted to run more at Francis as opposed to running away from him because he runs so well and chases so well. So they're going to run more of their plays offensively at him than away from him, and as an example.
Third down and 6. 10th play of the drive for Arkansas. Grovey with a quarterback draw. Down to the 33-yard line, close to a first down. They may have to measure. Yarrett Long, number 48, the right defensive end from Hearn, Texas, made the tackle.
And he is one that that can run. Another one that runs. In fact, he's a 10-400 meter.
It is a first down. And the drive remains alive for Grovey. Well, he learned a lot from Greg Thomas. Thomas had an outstanding career here, but Grovey may have more in his arsenal. More quickness and speed.
That's saying something, too.
Yeah, it is. 11:45 remaining in the second quarter, first and 10. Rouse slips. Coming up to make the stop, Robert Blackman, the strong safety. Now, this turf, Vince, is very slippery, as is War Memorial Stadium in Little Rock, Arkansas. It's over 7 years old, and slippage has been a problem here.
Well, it is a problem, and it'll certainly hurt a back trying to stop, and particularly when the back kind of looks up and sees number 21 coming at you. Robert Blackman is some strong safety. Great All-American candidate. Super athlete. And sometimes that'll cause you to slip.
Blackman out of Van Vleck, Texas. Arkansas has called a timeout with 11 minutes remaining until halftime. Baylor has the lead over the 10th rated Hogs at home.
In Razorback Stadium.
ESPN's College Football Saturday, Baylor versus Arkansas, is brought to you each with age for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. And by AT&T, the right choice. With Vince Dooley, I'm Tim Brando. Happy that you joined us. 4 minutes gone in the second quarter from Fayetteville. Arkansas in the midst of a long drive to answer Baylor's challenge. A touchdown run by Mims. Foster, the play that they must get 4 or 5 on, as Vince Dooley mentioned. He gets 4 this time, and let's go to Chris Fowler in our studio.
Okay, Tim, Michigan has jumped in front of Illinois. The Wolverines pounding away on the ground. Michael Taylor takes it in from the 2, set up by Tony Bowles, 17-10 in the second.
Taylor is back and Gerbach is out, and Michigan hopefully Pasadena bound for Bo Schembechler. Well, you almost forget about Michigan in the national championship hunt, but they have quietly gotten back into it. Here's the call from Lloyd Dale now.
Illegal procedure, offense, repeat second down.
Boy, I love the Southwest Conference officials. They really let you know. That'll back it up to the 36-yard line.
Well, again, in this kind of offense, penalties are really disastrous. And now we're 2nd and 14.
But again, Vince, a long, sustained drive, something we mentioned at the outset.
This is going to be a key. 11 plays, 49 yards, 5:47 possession. But the penalty right here has got him in a hole.
Lindsey in motion. And again, the option pitch to Rouse.
Rouse down to the 16-yard line. First down, Razorbacks.
Mike Welch made the stop, a 20-yard gain. Boy, he can make the corner.
Just an excellent job of speed. It's just outright speed. Now it's a race to the corner when he makes the pitch, and watch him run, trying to cut him off at the pass. Can't quite get there, and he's got that extra speed.
And Lindsey made an outstanding block, Vince, the tight end, to help spearhead that play. Grovey. That's a forward lateral. Rouse down to the 6-yard line.
But he wasn't past the line of scrimmage, was he?
I don't believe he was.
So that's a forward pass.
A forward pass rather than the lateral.
Does he get a completion?
Mike Welch made the tackle. Boy, Miami out to a 13-point lead over Pitt. Tennessee beats Akron big. And Auburn given a tough time by Louisiana Tech, and that's the big story of the day. Penn State and Maryland tying, and Virginia will get Maryland next week on ESPN.
Well, there's Rouse again. Grovey continues to come out. Looks for him. Rouse is looking for the ball. You gonna give it to me? Yeah, and he finally does with a forward lateral, which is behind the line of scrimmage, so it's okay. It's like a forward pass.
A 10-yard forward pass with the wind, and Grovey threw no passes in the first quarter. Nothing doing, up the gap again for Rouse.
Well, Rouse had some daylight out to the outside if he had his head up, but I guess he was so determined now that he's running so good. He wanted to just run in and use his speed, but if he had kept his eyes up, he'd have had a nice cut to the outside, and daylight and possibly could have scored.
Guess who made the stop? James Francis.
I would think that's a good bet.
His brother, by the way, Ron Francis of the Dallas Cowboys. Great story on both he and Ron and the way they were raised by their Aunt Maggie. We'll touch on that a little later. First down goal from the 4. E.D. Jackson carries for the first time, tripped up at the 3-yard line. Jeff Eppinger made the stop out of San Antonio, Texas, the 6'6", 255-pound junior tackle.
I suppose he wants to get Kenny Hatfield wants to get somebody fresh in there. E.D. Jackson, number 8 at tailback. But usually when you put a new back in, you probably want to give him at least one play where he can get the field. But Kenny's got great confidence in him and gave him the ball right away.
Second now and 3 from the 3. Foster pile driving to the 2, and that's all. Hatfield expecting much more inside, but again, Francis and Welch get in the way.
Foster's a good runner, and they're going to give it to him. And here's a good right here. Francis coming up, making the tackle on Foster, who was stepping over about 3 or 4 bodies on his way to the goal line. Francis stopped him.
A coaching colleague of yours and a past announcer, now the athletic director at Arkansas, Frank Broyles, used to call that power football. Let's see what we see on 3rd and 2.
A little finesse and a touchdown for Rouse.
About the option play, because the quarterback, in this case Grovey, he can make his decision, and there's nobody outside. Everybody was inside at the quarterback, and he pitches out to Rouse for an easy touchdown.
And those 2 plays right up the middle had that play set up, didn't they?
You got to run the fullback. Got to run the fullback.
What you do early gets you 6 later. Stay with us. Business degree in undergraduate school, now a graduate school of marketing major, 3.25 his GPA. And Billy Winston has had a lot to do with the success of this Arkansas offense in our most recent drive. All Southwest Conference a year ago, extremely mature, and that's something that this team had to have offensively.
He's one that they are trying different ways to try to get the ball to him, because he's got excellent speed. He's 4.7, very deceiving speed, and gliding type speed. But he is a key, and was a key on that touchdown play that hopefully we'll take a look at again.
And the kickoff coming back deep, and again, I don't believe with the wind anyone will ever return a kick against the wind.
Look at the top of your screen. Billy Winston, number 86. That's what makes it a play easy. He makes a nice block, and then the fullback Foster takes out 2. You can see him right there. And all the quarterback Ruby's got to do is pitch it wide, and all Rouse has got to do is catch it and walk in.
80 plays, 17 plays, 80 yards, and 9:02 off the clock. Picturesque for Arkansas, and adding to that average of 65 yards per touchdown drive. They've had 34 of them this year. 1st and 10 Baylor. Mims, who scored the touchdown for the Bears, gets it up to the 25-yard line.
David Mims was the carrier.
Kentucky beating Vanderbilt today. Mississippi State, Rocky Felker in need of a victory over Tulane. Wake Forest, Brother Bill.
Brother Bill, yes.
Over Tulsa today. Syracuse knocks off Nagby, and the Orangemen haven't lost since the Penn State game. Indiana beating Wisconsin, and those are the numbers on the Heisman candidate. 52 carries for Anthony Thompson. Well, he's getting his chance from Bill Mallory, isn't he? On 2nd and 5, it'll be 2nd and 7. As Ken Benson, the outside linebacker, popped through there in a hurry to stop Mims again.
Ken Benson, the outside linebacker, they've had some success running the ball, and Raphael is hit pretty good by Benson. But they've got to be able to throw the ball and mix the run, and they're in a spread set here.
3rd down and 7.
Watch Murray wherever he is.
5 receivers out, and the pass incomplete. Well, Arkansas came with everybody, and that was minimum protection for Baylor. Shannon Wright, 31, the outside Eagle linebacker, popped through there to make the stop. The freshman from Fort Smith.
Shannon Wright, who is a freshman and who can comes on a blitz, and he comes and really puts some pressure on, along with Ken Benson. And there's Wright, number 31. Just a freshman, true freshman as a matter of fact, and can run.
Pete Rudder will punt it away from his 15. A high spiraling punt sending Horton back to his 31. Up to the 40-yard line, and the Hogs will have good field position when we come back. Steve Stutzman made the stop. Tied at 7. We're in the 2nd quarter. Tim Brando along with Vince Dooley. Interestingly, in this game, the Arkansas Razorbacks in 1st down situations totaling only 1 yard. Now, in their 7 victories, they had almost 7 yards on first down. They only got 4 yards on first down in their loss to Texas. And Grovey runs the option and keeps it up to the 44-yard line. So, Vince, it's obvious they're making the adjustments today against Baylor.
Well, they were able, first of all, to go the long distance. They went 80 yards in 17 plays, and that tells you that they can move the ball despite the fact that this is an excellent Baylor defense. And the second thing is that Baylor's taken them out of their rhythm by forcing them to make big yardage on second down, because they're only getting an average of 1 yard on first down. And they're a very adaptable offense, more adaptable than last year.
And, of course, that's going back to that move out of the wishbone, flexbone, and diversifying the offense by Ken Hatfield. Rouse, who's been a workhorse, gets it up to the 46. Let's go to Chris Fowler.
Okay, gentlemen, Miami is pulling away from Pittsburgh. Greg Erickson on his first start after the knuckle injury hits Dale. Doc Dawkins, 9 yards, 22-0 Canes in the third quarter.
The Hurricanes are obviously back, Chris Fowler. Thank you so much. And short of a number of turnovers, it may have been different in Tallahassee. I wouldn't have wanted to be Mike Gottfried today after what happened a couple of weeks ago either.
There's going to be an interesting one down the road, I might add, down in Miami in a couple of weeks.
3rd and 4, and Grovey rolling into trouble and away from trouble. It appears he has the first down at the 49-yard line. And now a marker coming down on the Baylor sidelines, it appears.
Santana Dotson, number 77, might have given him a little push out of bounds, and the officials are stricter this year than they've ever been on the out-of-bounds plays, and that's probably what it is.
Well, Lloyd Dale is going to come and tell us about it. It happened well into the sidelines, almost near the benches where the crowd's located.
Dead ball, personal foul against the defense, first down.
Santana Dotson guilty here.
Well, let's see if we can see Santana, if he is the guilty one. Here comes Grovey. Stays up, and what he does is a nice job of finding the flag. See where the flag is, Tim? He goes out of bounds. Well, let's see right here. Well, he may have tried to grab him, and then instead of, he should have pulled him on back, and maybe he'd have been better off than just letting him go.
Yeah, you got to pull, not push. E.D. Jackson down to the 26-yard line. Gary Joe Kinney, the middle linebacker again, making the stop. E.D. Jackson, according to Ken Hatfield, after spring practice, was in position to be all Southwest Conference. He was that good. And then all of a sudden, James Rouse came back. He really pushed Rouse into playing the kind of football that was necessary to get back in the starting lineup.
Jackson did have an excellent spring, and I think he's made a much better back out of route, what he's done.
Yep, and he's had some ankle problems, and that's taken him out of the lineup. Option pitch, Jackson nailed by Welch, the big hitter from Sweetwater, Texas.
And he is a hitter. He's a leader, too, and an excellent student. He's about a 4.0 student. He can come up on a line drive. He's kind of like a middle linebacker at safety man. And when you get one like that, it is like another linebacker. Look at here. He can make some. Well, E.D. Jackson hadn't been hit like that, I don't believe.
Couple of interceptions for Welch, 68 tackles. Missed all of last year with a knee injury. He's been rehabbing it along with several other Baylor Bears. And Arkansas, confused offensively, forced to utilize one of their timeouts, and you see the frustration etched all over Grovey's face. Well, there'll be better days, maybe in a moment, Quade. We've got it covered. It all begins with a great one between Richmond and NC State, Ohio State, DePaul, and then Loyola Marymount against UNLV on Wednesday, November 15th. We hope you join us for college basketball on ESPN. 3rd and 2 now for Grovey. That's a first down to the 18-yard line. And Arkansas just off an 80-yard drive, trying to march 60 yards this time. An 8-yard pickup and a first down for Quinn Grovey. Charles Bell, the left corner, made the tackle.
The key to this is the block by Foster, number 18. Let's see if he gets under it, and he does with just an excellent block, and that's a cut block, and that's what a fullback has got to do, and it's on Yarrett Long, and then Grovey is easily makes his first down.
How much does that stance that he has that's so unusual help him in those cut blocks?
Well, I think it helps him to go left to right equally well.
Rouse dodging his own offensive lineman that may have been injured in front of him. Only gets a yard or two. Number 73 getting up gingerly is Todd Gifford. Jones made the stop. It'll be 2nd and 10. No gain that time. There's Gifford, the right side tackle, apparently okay. He was actually thrown back into Rouse that time.
Well, those guards, Gifford and Henry, have really played well because they were number 2 guards in the spring, and they had to come up and be number 1s, and they've performed extremely well.
2nd and 10, 2:47 and counting in the first half. Grovey, he nearly slipped away from a fine tackle by Hafford. Curtis Hafford had him. You heard the contact, and then he still nearly slipped away.
Well, we heard 2 contacts. First of all, the contact on Foster, the fullback. He got a big hit, and that told Grovey, keep the football, and he did. And then Hafford, number 99, just froze him and crunched him.
Ron Dickerson, number 22, is coming to the game, into the offensive backfield now for Arkansas. He's in the slot left. Grovey throwing it away. Horton was his primary receiver, but he was blanketed in the defensive perimeter by the Baylor Bears defense and Malcolm Frank, the right side cornerback out of Beaumont, Texas. But Grovey just had to get rid of it.
Well, in some conferences, that might have been intentionally grounding the football. And I was talking to Coach Taft, and he said that the Southeastern Conference calls those more in the Southwest Conference. We need to have a little more consistency sometimes in officiating.
Todd Wright will try a 38-yard field goal now. His first attempt of the game.
And he's 12 of 14. Got an excellent average.
Well, it's a knuckleball, but it goes through.
He's 13 of 15 on a knuckler. Line drive.
So it wasn't end over end, but it counted for 3. And Arkansas takes a 10-7 lead. Coming up tonight, we'll take you to the Southeastern Conference. And 4th-ranked Alabama taking on LSU. The Tigers coming off a win over Ole Miss. And a lot of people anticipate a close game here, Vince, against Alabama.
And that's down in Baton Rouge?
Historically, though, Alabama has done well in Baton Rouge.
They have traditionally. But I think Hodgson is as hot as he's been all year. And if he gets hot down there and they play some inspiring football. Now, here's Wright, who just bangs it. I mean, he must have hit the ball right in the middle, which caused it, instead of hitting it low, which caused it to line drive. He's not very happy. He likes to not only make them, but he wants them to look pretty. No, I said, I don't want little line drives.
Well, it's not necessarily the way Kendall Traynor got it done here. By the way, Kendall is back in the Fayetteville area and working out, trying to get back on an NFL roster. He made it to the final cut, and he had an outstanding career here. And there you see Todd, 5'11", 166-pound freshman. And the 9-play drive, and that's 38 yards, 4:15 off the clock. And Wright gets the 38-yarder. Glenn Ray Hines will kick off now for Arkansas. His father, Glenn Ray Hines Sr., All-American at the University of Arkansas. I'm sure you remember that name.
Amen.
Trooper Taylor is number 2. But he'll be a trooper and not bring it out.
He started to.
Yeah, with this wind, I don't believe we'll see a ball returned from this end zone. And there you see it's still blowing briskly. Not as heavily as it could, but it's certainly aiding the kickers on the kickoffs. We have not yet had one kick return in this game from that side of the end zone. Coming up at halftime, Chris Fowler is back in the studio along with Bino Cook and Lee Corso. And they'll dissect this day in college football. Bring you up to date on all the goings-on. The Penn State tie against Maryland, that's big news. And Maryland, of course, will get Virginia next week on ESPN. The Terrapins hopeful of an ACC title. I should say the Cavaliers hopeful of an ACC title. Ed Lovell is into the game now at the quarterback spot, replacing Brad Gable, and we've got a marker down.
Dead ball foul, false start, offense. Still first down.
It looks like the tackle last time that may have moved.
Lovell is the senior, Vince, and boy, Grant Tapp loves this youngster.
He is good. Well, what he can do, he can run just a little bit better than Gable. And he said he was going to play him. And he can give him a little more diversity than what Gable has been able to give him.
Lovell on the sprint out action, looking long. Boy, Jackson was in position, and a nice job by Reggie Miller becoming a defender, making certain that Jackson, number 44, could not make the reception for Arkansas at midfield.
Lovell rolled out on this and actually could have run probably for a first down, but he saw Miller and actually should have thrown the ball outside. He threw it too much down the middle. He looked good. His form was good, but he put the ball down the middle and should have been intercepted.
Oh, thrown behind Anderson, and it caused him to go out of bounds. It's an incompleted forward pass.
Tremendous catch by Anderson, spinning around.
Lovell's upset with himself. He's got a good arm, but that time it just wasn't accurate.
Let's see if we can see that. Look at this spinning in the air, and he's trying to get that foot down, but it's just out of bounds. Just a sensational catch.
Third down and 15 for Baylor, trailing by 3, 1:50 remaining in the first half. Markers down again. And Arkansas obviously not hearing the whistle. And we could have a double foul here. Number 33 is Bubba Barrow, and he continued long after the whistle had blown. I think we had too much time first on Baylor. And it could be a double penalty here. This could take a while. You teach your defenders to play through the whistle, but I think that time Barrow played long past the whistle having blown.
Long. I think he must be single-minded because, and he had something on his mind, and that the officials can't make up their mind what's wrong. But Bubba Barrow, who is a great decathlon athlete, oh, he had his mind here. We'll find out what they finally ruled.
Too much time. And that means Arkansas gives up some yardage.
Oh,
and Ken,
Kenny is mad.
You should have seen that one coming, Ken.
All right, let's take a look at Bubba Barrow, because Kenny, we don't need to look at him anymore. He's mad. Here's Barrow right here. Now, the whistle is blown, and he continues on. If he just stops right here, but he dumps him.
Yeah, I think the takedown meant as much to the flag as anything else. And
he
a
just
nice
continued on. Yeah, this
retaliation time too from Baylor.
Double retaliation.
I don't think they caught Baylor's retaliation, Vince, but the reason was the takedown.
I think at that point they were going to call the penalty right there. They didn't look. Sometimes they take that. A lot of times the retaliation gets caught most of the time.
I think that's what Kenny is upset about.
Yes, he is.
That and maybe a little upset at Bubba. Third down and 5 now.
Well, is it first down or third down?
Well, the scoreboard signals third down. It could be an automatic first down after the personal foul. That's what it is. First down and 10. Lovell.
He's got a running scramble here.
And he dumps it incomplete, intended for Stutzman, the tight end.
Once again, Lovell had an excellent opportunity to run the football, but he looked like he just threw it away. Even though he might have been throwing the Stutzman, it looked like he was just trying to get rid of it. He had no reason to.
Well, that's a big, big penalty against Arkansas because it's an automatic first down after a personal foul. Even though the march was only 10 yards, the reason only 10 was because of the 5-yard delay of game penalty against Baylor.
That's what upset Kenny Hatfield.
Second and 10 now for the Bears. play action fake, and Lovell has a wide open receiver. Marker down. Pass intended for David Frost. Marker thrown in the Baylor backfield, a spot where you'd think of holding, and there's the preliminary indication. Randy Russell with a lot of pressure that time. Number 54, the freshman linebacker, seeing some playing time. There's Randy out of Benton, Arkansas.
Just a freshman. 6'3", 226, and he can run too. When you're playing as a freshman, you're pretty good.
Holding, offense, second down.
Well, let's see if we can find some holding, maybe at the left of the screen. I don't see any holding. Maybe right there, number. I don't see any holding.
I see a lot of bodies.
Yeah, a lot of bodies flying around.
Yeah, but not any holding. 2nd and 20.
And usually you can see holding on any play.
Little quick hitch, dump pattern over the middle to Murray, and that's an obvious face mask against Mick Thomas, the junior transfer.
It was, and they threw it down, and Kenny's getting more frustrated.
Boy, he is. Well, realize he could have the ball at midfield by now. I mean, they could have an opportunity at 3 more at the very least, and these penalties are really hurting his team because Baylor's holding on to the football to close out the half.
Face mask. Well, Lovell quickly gets the ball to Murray, and then there's no question he had to face.
Incidental contact, but
yeah, it was a 5-yard.
Yeah.
You're right about Kenny because he wanted one more shot.
Yeah,
He's got time enough maybe to get another score on before going in, and that's why he's mad.
Baylor with 6 penalties, Arkansas with 4, but 3 of them on this Baylor drive. Lovell gets away from pressure. Another tip pass nearly picked off by Patrick Williams. He had one earlier in the game, you'll recall, on the opening drive for the Baylor Bears. But those automatic first downs after penalties keep cropping up.
Lovell stays alive. He's an excellent receiver. Here's Miller right here. Miller is just a freshman, and he's got to keep running because Lovell's going to keep scrambling. And just a little bit high.
Catchable.
Yeah, Miller's a good receiver, though. He's just a freshman. He's going to be a great player, I believe.
2nd and 10.
Here they come.
He gets away, dumps it out to Raphael to the 37-yard line. Edwin Raphael, we had not called his number in a while. Chad Rowland, the nose guard, making the stop for Arkansas.
Well, we thought Raphael was down early after that sensational run early in the ball game.
And they're ruling the quarterback Lovell down, so it's no pass completion. Railback halftime report. Chris Fowler with scores and highlights from today's action. And again, the surprise of this day, Penn State and Maryland playing to a 13-13 tie. You'll see the Terps next week. 3rd and 10 for Baylor. Boy, he's resourceful back there. Finally dumps it out to the tight end. And Alonzo Pierce has a first down and then some to the 42-yard line of Arkansas. Aaron Jackson finally hauled him down. A 24-yard pickup. And Lovell did a great job of just staying up.
Well, Lovell will put some excitement in there because you don't know what he's going to do. He's got excellent feet and good ability. And here he is getting pressured by Shepard. He just steps back, keeps looking downfield, finally finds Pierce. And let's see if Pierce, well, he takes the ball and runs for another 15 yards. So they got excellent position for a score here before halftime.
And we've got markers down again. Well, it's gotten sloppy.
Well, they're taking Lovell out, and Gable is back in.
Yeah, right after that completion. Interesting move by Grant Taft.
Well, it may be Lovell is a little tired from running around.
Ball start, offense, first down.
Yeah, and he has been running around a bit. But again, a legal procedure. Whenever you have quarterback changes, regardless of their maturity, you can expect this kind of problem.
Well, when you use them to, you can. Signals are different.
Yes.
Though the offense remains the same. David Frost is the wide receiver, number 17. You see the timeouts remaining, one apiece. And on 1st and 15, that's Greg Anderson. First down, Baylor at the 24-yard line. Mick Thomas, the linebacker, makes the stop, a 23-yard gain.
Well, that's why Grant Teff wanted to make the change, because Gable, who has experience, is able to find Anderson right in the middle, wide open, and he's got that great trajectory, a flat trajectory ball that gets it in there to him.
And he's got a fine field goal kicker waiting in the wings at a chance for 3. Though it will be against the wind here in the second quarter.
Well, if they've got some timeout left, they might want to go ahead and try to get it closer.
Well, they just used their final timeout.
That was it.
So Baylor can utilize a sideline route, maybe one to the end zone, and that's it. We're at Razorback Stadium in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Tim Brando with Vince Dooley. And Arkansas, with a 7-1 record, ranked 10th nationally, holding on to a 3-point advantage here with just 13 seconds remaining in the first half. There's Ireland, Jeff Ireland, out of Abilene, Texas. His stepfather is E.J. Holub, and you probably remember that name. He was the pass center and nose guard with the Kansas City Chiefs.
All pro. And he's had some bad knees over the years.
Boy, he and Jim Otto,
double O.
Yeah, from the Raiders. They both have had reconstructive surgery.
I think about 18 operations apiece.
E.J. is the stepfather of Jeff Ireland, obviously playing a major role in his development as a youngster. 1st and 10 now. We'll see what Baylor comes up with. No timeouts. They go sideline, and Anderson was running a route out of bounds, so that play had no chance. 9 seconds remaining, and Ireland will come on. Grant Teff.
Cooney did a good job of just, not wasn't Cooney, James rather, did a good job of just pushing him out. And if you're pushed out, you try to come back in, it's yours. But if you run out, of course, you can't catch it.
41-yard attempt against a wind of about 15 miles per hour. It's hooking, but not before it gets through. Ireland connects, and think of the turnaround. Arkansas with a personal foul to keep Baylor's drive alive. All along, Hatfield was thinking about getting the ball and extending his lead. Now, Vince, a 6-point swing, and we're tied at 10.
Well, that's exactly why he was upset. One of the big reasons he was upset, because he wanted that ball back and get something up there. Here's a nice shot here by Ireland. He hooks it, as you said, but it hung just long enough. He's now 14 of 8. Ooh, did that go over? Yes, it did. 14 of 18. Let's see. Let's see if he knows that it's good. He thinks it is. It looked pretty close to me.
Yeah, it did. Well, that depth perception from the end zone many times will fool you. He knew it. And all that matters is Baylor has now knotted this game rather than seen Arkansas in a position to move its lead up to 6 before halftime.
Back in the old days, the official that called it was the referee. So now, of course, if the two officials are under and can see right over if it's good. But for many, many years, we let the referee, who was right there with the kicker, decide whether it was good enough. And they missed a lot of them, I might add, over the years.
When did they stop that?
Oh, it's been several years ago, but when I first started coaching.
Oh, wait a minute. Several to you is maybe not several to me.
Okay.
How many? Are we talking a couple of decades?
No, I'm talking about, probably about 20 years.
Yeah,
That's
68,
not,
69. Okay. I was in puberty. Then.
Okay.
Okay.
That's still me.
A line driver squibbed down to Foster.
Look out.
Barry Foster down at the 44, and, well, he made it exciting all the way through the first 30 minutes of play. It's homecoming in Fayetteville. The Hogs want to go to Big D on New Year's Day. They want to play A&M with that on the line, but first things first, Baylor has them tied 10-10 at halftime. Let's get now back to our college football studios to Chris Fowler. Chris?
Okay, thank you, Tim and Vince, and welcome to our Rayovac halftime report. We'll have all kinds of highlights.
Head football coach of the Oklahoma Sooners. Let's see, 201 career victories here, 157 here. I didn't have many wins, but I am lucky enough to be with you guys. That's 358 wins I'm sitting with here.
Well, good to have you at my house. It's my place.
That's right, it is. There's been a lot of changes
Yeah,
here,
you
Barry.
betcha.
I guess
The stadium wasn't quite this large.
what, 30 years ago?
30 years ago, we had a 59 class, Frank Broyles' first Southwest Conference championship team, and
You were
second year here.
captain, weren't you?
I was one of the captains. Thank you, Vince.
And your son is back
My
here.
son is playing here, and yours playing Virginia, right?
Yeah.
You heard that, Barbara?
There's happiness here. Now, in 1959, Barry, you were the center. You were also a linebacker, and Jimmy Johnson and Jerry Jones also played here. Boy, Frank had to handle some personalities.
Well, it was kind of interesting around here. I was coaching when Jim and Jerry were roommates and played together here. I called my roommate a few months ago and asked him why he wasn't wealthy enough to buy me a pro team. He said, well, what makes you think I'd consider you anyway?
Well, it's been a very interesting first half, and we're happy to have you with us.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
You don't mind sticking around
I'll stick around with you guys.
Got a lot of option football to talk
We
about.
want to talk about a little option football, and nobody knows it better than you, Barry.
That's good players, Vince. Good players.
Ireland.
Have those.
Ireland will kick off for Baylor. Foster back deep. We may have our first return from here. No, we won't. The turning point in this game, harken back to the first half. Arkansas on a drive, 10:48 remaining in the second quarter. We thought this was considered a forward pass. We found out it was considered a forward lateral. This is an illegal play because he's beyond the line of scrimmage. Rouse carried it. Arkansas would go on to score its only touchdown. That's a big play. 1:45 remaining in the second quarter. Baylor Bears down by 3. Arkansas on third down. Bubba Barrow gets involved after the whistle is blown. Personal foul, double foul. Baylor's possession continues. They get 3 to tie the game at 10. So those are the two turning points tilting this game to a 10-10 tie. And there again is a slip by Rouse in the backfield at the 18-yard line. Our possession chart in the first half for Arkansas, a team that seemingly always goes the long distance for its touchdown. 5 plays, 15 yards in the punt. They go backwards and then have to punt it away. Then another punt. Then comes, after the field goal, an 80-yard drive for a touchdown, and then the 38-yard field goal that would follow. But again, the 80-yard drive amassed 17 plays and 9:02 off the clock. E.D. Jackson is in the game now, dotting the I behind Barry Foster. Second down and 13. Foster back to the original line of scrimmage. Well, Barry, you've seen a lot of option quarterbacks. Quinn Grovey, ironically, out of Duncan, Oklahoma. How would you rate him?
He's a good player. You know, when we recruited Quinn, Tim, we had outstanding quarterbacks, and we were 3 deep at Oklahoma. That was Eric Mitchell and Jamel Holloway, Charles Thompson, and Quinn was obviously an option quarterback, needed to go somewhere where he could do this type of football, play this, and that's why he's at Arkansas, and I helped Frank recruit him to come here. I mean, Kenny recruit him.
Third down and 9. He has a tight end, Winston, open, and he makes the grab at the 35. Billy Winston, the talent you were speaking of earlier, Vince.
Billy Winston is an excellent tight end. They're trying to find different ways to get him the ball more. He does go down and make an excellent catch of this ball. Got good speed. Turns around in the curl, sits down in the hole, and then just kneels down to get the first down.
Good catch.
Even in the option game, it helps to have a tight end. I know you remember one.
I had a great one. NFL Rookie of the Year, Keith Jackson.
And he's still going strong.
This is E.D. Jackson up to the 39-yard line, a gain of 4 for the Hogs. Statistically, Arkansas and Baylor playing to a 10-10 tie. You see the number of passes thrown, and Arkansas against that wind in the first quarter threw none. Passing yardage all with Baylor, rushing yardage all with Arkansas. Very predictable, but time of possession, Vince, always with Arkansas.
Clearly in the favor, and Barry knows about that because his team's kept the ball a lot of times.
We've been putting it there very often.
Jackson stopped, loses about a yard. Gary Joe Kinney from Mesquite, Texas, the middle linebacker, making the tackle. Kinney at middle linebacker, you augment him with a guy like Francis, and it's no small wonder the Bears are so good defensively, Barry.
Very good team. I was surprised Oklahoma scored 28 points on them the first half this year, but it was their opening ball game. Oklahoma had already played one.
I think they had some people, they moved them to new positions, and now they're just finally getting used to those new positions and moved linebackers to end and strong safeties to
And they
linebackers.
changed their scheme a little bit. They're playing more of the Miami 4-3 look
Yes,
now.
they are.
Shade schemes.
On 3rd and 6, here's the option pitch to Jackson, and he's hemmed in. There.
Our Rayovac halftime report. We'll have all kinds of highlights.
Our head football coach of the Oklahoma Sooners. Let's see, 201 career victories here, 157 here. I didn't have many wins, but I am lucky enough to be with you guys. That's 358 wins I'm sitting with here.
Well, good to have you at my house. You know? It's my place.
That's right, it is. There's been a lot of changes
Yeah,
here,
you
Barry.
betcha.
I
The
guess
stadium wasn't quite this large.
was 30 years ago?
30 years ago, we had a 59 class, Frank Broyles' first Southwest Conference championship team, and
You were
second year
captain,
here.
weren't you?
I was one of the captains. Thank you, Vince.
And your son is back
My
here.
son is playing here, and yours playing Virginia, right?
Yeah.
You heard that, Barbara?
There's happiness here. Now, in 1959, Barry, you were the center. You were also a linebacker, and Jimmy Johnson and Jerry Jones also played here. Boy, Frank had to handle some personalities.
Well, it was kind of interesting around here. I was coaching when Jim and Jerry were roommates and played together here. I called my roommate a few months ago and asked him why he wasn't wealthy enough to buy me a pro team. He said, well, what makes you think I'd consider you anyway?
Well, it's been a very interesting first half, and we're happy to have you with us.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
You don't mind sticking
I'll
around
stick
a while.
around with you guys.
Got a lot of option football to talk
I
about.
want to talk about a little option football, and nobody knows it better than you, Barry.
Had good players, Vince. Good players.
Ireland.
Gotta have those.
Ireland will kick off for Baylor. Foster back deep. We may have our first return from here. No, we won't. The turning point in this game, harken back to the first half. Arkansas on a drive, 10:48 remaining in the second quarter. We thought this was considered a forward pass. We found out it was considered a forward lateral. This is an illegal play because he's beyond the line of scrimmage. Rouse carried it. Arkansas would go on to score its only touchdown. That's a big play. 1:45 remaining in the second quarter. Baylor Bears down by 3. Arkansas on 3rd down. Bubba Barrow gets involved after the whistle is blown. Personal foul, double foul. Baylor's possession continues. They get 3 to tie the game at 10. So those are the 2 turning points tilting this game to a 10-10 tie. And there again is a slip by Rouse in the backfield at the 18-yard line. Our possession chart in the first half for Arkansas, a team that seemingly always goes the long distance for its touchdown. 5 plays, 15 yards in the punt. They go backwards and then have to punt it away. Then another punt. Then comes, after the field goal, an 80-yard drive for a touchdown, and then the 38-yard field goal that would follow. But again, the 80-yard drive amassed 17 plays and 9:02 off the clock. E.D. Jackson is in the game now, dotting the I behind Barry Foster. 2nd down and 13. Foster back to the original line of scrimmage. Well, Barry, you've seen a lot of option quarterbacks. Quinn Grovey, ironically, out of Duncan, Oklahoma. How would you rate him?
He's a good player. You know, when we recruited Quinn, Tim, we had outstanding quarterbacks, and we were 3 deep at Oklahoma. That was Eric Mitchell and Jamel Holloway, Charles Thompson, and Quinn was obviously an option quarterback, needed to go somewhere where he could do this type of football, play this, and that's why he's at Arkansas, and I helped Frank recruit him to come here. I mean, Kenny recruit him.
3rd down and 9. He has a tight end, Winston, open, and he makes the grab at the 35. Billy Winston, the talent you were speaking of earlier, Vince.
Billy Winston is an excellent tight end. They're trying to find different ways to get him the ball more. He does go down and make an excellent catch of this ball. Got good speed. Turns around in the curl, sits down in the hole, and then just kneels down to get the first down.
Good catch.
Even in the option game, it helps to have a tight end. I know you remember one.
I had a great one. NFL Rookie of the Year, Keith Jackson.
And he's still going strong.
This is E.D. Jackson up to the 39-yard line, a gain of 4 for the Hogs. Statistically, Arkansas and Baylor playing to a 10-10 tie. You see the number of passes thrown, and Arkansas against that wind in the first quarter threw none. Passing yardage all with Baylor, rushing yardage all with Arkansas. Very predictable, but time of possession, Vince, always with Arkansas.
Clearly in the favor, and Barry knows about that because his team's kept the ball a lot of times.
We've been putting that air very often.
Jackson stopped, loses about a yard. Gary Joe Kinney from Mesquite, Texas, the middle linebacker, making the tackle. Kinney at middle linebacker, you augment him with a guy like Francis, and it's no small wonder the Bears are so good defensively, Barry.
Very good team. I was surprised Oklahoma scored 28 points on them the first half this year, but it was their opening ball game. Oklahoma had already played one.
I think they had some people, they moved them to new positions, and now they're just finally getting used to those new positions and moved linebackers to end and strong safeties to
And they
linebackers.
changed their scheme a little bit. They're playing more of the Miami 4-3 look
Yes,
now.
they are.
Shade schemes.
On 3rd and 6, here's the option pitch to Jackson, and he's hemmed in. There's that lateral pursuit we've been speaking of, and the Bears stop him back at the 38-yard line. Reggie Howard out of Plano, Texas, just outside the Dallas area, 6'3", 270-pound junior, made the tackle for Baylor.
They can run, and Francis can run. Let's take a look at Francis and see what he does on this play. He's got to run by the official first. Breaks down.
I believe that was a run-throw option, wasn't it, Vince? He looked at the split receiver. I think he really looked at the split receiver at Russell on that.
Meacham to punt it away. He's had problems today. A 31-yarder, a 24-yarder. This one a line drive, and Greg Anderson has room. All the way back to the 49-yard line, almost midfield. Baylor's had field position all day, but can they punch it in the second half? College football Saturday, Baylor versus Arkansas, is brought to you by Volvo, the car that's famous for its safety, durability, and longevity. And by Heil Furnaces, the energy savers. With Vince Dooley and Barry Switzer, I'm Tim Brando. And the Baylor Bears have a first down at their own 49, 11:24 remaining third quarter. Now a little option from Gable over to Raphael, and he jukes out of bounds at the 45-yard line. Anthony Cooney made the stop.
Well, the only option is that.
If you think this is bad. Oh, yeah, I got Vitale waiting in the wings.
Amen.
You talk about culture shock. Dooley, Switzer, and then Dick next week.
Yeah, I see that. Come to the barn. The hog heaven.
Arkansas is a great basketball team. I saw them in the red and white game last night. Nolan Richardson's done an outstanding job. Second and 4. Raphael burrows down to the 40-yard line.
I believe we made a mistake on that back, Vince. We turned him down. He's from Lawton, Oklahoma.
Well, you turned down
You ever make a
good one.
mistake?
Oh, yeah. We make a few of them, I'll tell you. A lot of people made a mistake out in Texas with Terry Hogue. Nobody wanted him, and he came
your
as
safety. Great player.
Yeah,
great leader for you.
All-American for us.
And Baylor made a mistake, and they'll march backward, clipping apparently the call, and that'll back them up. You know, Vince, with Barry up here, I think this is a good time to mention it. The Southwest Conference has had its share of controversy, its share of problems.
Clipping, offense, repeat second down.
But they're on their way back. And in fact, they made a video. The coaches got together and made a recruiting video to help keep players in the Southwest Conference.
Well, there's no question a lot of them have gone out of Texas. And of course, a lot of them always went to Oklahoma, out of Texas, but not other places, and they've been all over the country. And now they're working to keep them all together, and a great example of that cooperation is that recruiting Southwest Conference video.
Second down and 19. No pass complete, past midfield and down to the 47-yard line. Ken Benson making the stop as Greg Anderson, the possession receiver, made the catch for Baylor to get part of that back. Barry, I think the most interesting thing about that spirit of cooperation is that to get 8 head coaches in any league to agree on doing something is a job well done.
Well, it's very important for all of them. The acquisition of talent is key to any intercollegiate athletic program, and you want to keep your players at home, but Texas has such a wealth of talent. I think it's the best high school state in the country. They got great facilities, weather, numbers, do a great coaching job, and they produce outstanding talent, and everyone's going to come there.
There'll still be a few left for Oklahoma, I would imagine, and Coach Gibbs.
We would not have the tradition at Oklahoma had it not been for high school athletes out of the state of Texas.
Second down and 24. Gabe Gable has his tight end open at the 43-yard line. Alonzo Pierce, the sophomore from Houston, is up to the 44-yard line.
And Pierce made the big catch before halftime. I think Gable is playing as good a football as maybe Gable has played. He's handling the offense very well, and we talked about him running an option. He really doesn't have an option. That's a sweep. Comes down the line, he just pitches it. It's not really an option, is it, Barry?
Whirl around and pitch it.
Whirl around pitch.
Mick Thomas made the stop, number 48, and now it's 3rd down and 15. The fans are on their feet on homecoming. Gable, marker down, thrown in an area where you'd expect holding. Still, Brad is down on the turf at the 43-yard line. Tony Allison, the junior from Malvern, Arkansas, made the tackle, and it's another clip. All that field position, and when it gets away from a head coach, it'll give you a lot of headaches.
Well, I tell you, that is key. You got to fight to get it and then fight to hold it.
They had the ball at the 50-yard line to start this drive, and now there's 2 15-yard penalties. They declined this one naturally.
Oh, yeah, Grant is a little upset. And the fans are on their feet as it's a punt formation forthcoming for Baylor.
And as the game gets later, the kicking game becomes more and more important. The team that probably will win it will get a break right here in this phase.
Baylor's kicking game has been very, very good. Pete Rudder leads the Southwest Conference and averaging 44.6 a punt, and we got more flags.
This is delay of game. With the win, though, it may help Rudder.
He wants more room to kick it, man.
Yeah.
Dead ball. Ball start. Offense.
Barry, how good is Colorado?
I think they're a very good football team because of the quarterback. You probably saw the Nebraska game last week. I happened to watch it. I watched Oklahoma play, but I watched Colorado. 2 plays consecutively. Hagan took them 40 yards. One was a 3rd and 11, went 20. The next play goes to 2-yard line. And of course, the kicking game is a factor in winning that ball game for Colorado.
Yeah, that last-second lateral to J.J. Flanagan was a thing of beauty, wasn't it?
We used to do that. Jack Mildren used to pitch it to Greg Pruitt like that back in the old days.
Yeah, I remember that. Chris Schenkel, Bud Wilkinson days in the booth. Barry, thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you, Tim, Vince.
Very good to see you again.
Keep having a good time.
All right, do that. Tell Barbara hello.
I will. Come to see us in Athens, Georgia.
With Mike Patrick and Joe Theismann tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Boy, last week's game between the Cowboys and Skins lived up to the billing. Jimmy Johnson, the Arkansas grad, getting his first victory in the NFL. 1st and 10. Foster up to the 23-yard line.
I wanted to ask Barry about the play of the fullback because he knows the wishbone and knows how valuable it is that a fullback, and Foster's a good one, you've got to run him in there. He's got to make 4, 5, 6, and at times break out of there. He's a very key player. It's like he's limping a little bit. But I'm sure Barry would have told us how important the fullback is in any option.
Well, there are at least 2 players I see on the Arkansas offense that look like Oklahoma Sooners. One is number 4, and the other is number 18.
They could play with Oklahoma.
They really could. 2nd and 6.
Reverse. Derek Russell. He has the 4.38 speed. The sprinter on the Southwest Conference Championship team. First down at the Baylor 43. He's learning how to catch, but boy, he always did know how to run.
He's got some speed, Derek Russell. He's a sprinter. Here's Foster right here. Let's see. He makes a block. Didn't block him very well. It's hard to block that guy very well, Francis. And here's the rollback again.
Up to the 40-yard line. Pickup of about 2. Curtis Hafford, number 99, the sophomore, made the tackle. Pickup of 3, 2nd down and 7 yards to go now for Arkansas.
Here's the reverse, and here's Russell, and he is a big playmaker. He's a sprinter in the Southwest Conference, and somebody's got to make a big, big play. And finally, number 20, Malcolm, plays off the blocker well and makes the tackle.
Todd Gifford, the big guard, was down there, but Frank got in front of him. Now the option to pass or run. And Quinn Grovey gets out of bounds at the 36-yard line. Third down coming up. Gary Joe Kinney giving hot pursuit, number 42, the middle linebacker. Well, Francis has played well, but Gary Joe Kinney, number 42 in white, has been involved in more tackles today.
He's the leader. He's the heart and soul. In fact, he's the leading tackler. Of course, being in the middle, you do get a little more opportunity than you do on a linebacker that's either to the strong or the weak side. He's got to run further.
And if you're thinking the 4-3 is different, not in this league. 6 of the 8 teams run the 4-3 defense. Grovey dumps it over to Winston. First down, Hogs at the 23. Hafford made the tackle for Baylor. And we got a little tussle after the whistle had blown. Getting a little nasty down there. No flags have been thrown, and that's the reason you hear the boos.
Arkansas's offense is spreading it around pretty good. Let's see if we can see what happened. Here's Grovey. Then he gets hit. That might have been a little bit late. I don't know. Yeah, Young hit him. Long, number 48.
Foster spinning, breaking tackles inside the 20 down to the 18. Renewed vigor for this Arkansas team after Baylor had been shut down.
Well, they asked Foster on a little counter play, and somebody comes in. It might have been the middle linebacker, Kinney, and there was good collision. You could hear it up here. Welsh finally makes the tackle.
Foster out of Duncanville, Texas, the junior fullback.
He can do a lot of things.
Gets 5 yards, and remember, on first down, they need to average around 5 yards to be successful.
There he is again.
That's 5. That's 10. That's another first down. Hatfield's Hogs are taking control of the line of scrimmage.
Let's see what kind of blocking. Number 56, Mabry, who is an excellent blocker at left tackle. Makes a good block. Here is Foster again. Breaks in, and he's got speed. He runs the 4-4.
Not bad for a fullback.
He's like a bull.
First and 10, and the ball outside the 10.
There he is again.
Down to the 6-yard line. Curtis Hafford again, number 99, with a shoestring tackle. 5 minutes and 50 seconds remaining here in the third quarter. Ken Hatfield trying to remain just once beaten in the Southwest Conference, aware of the fact that Texas still has to play Houston down in the Astrodome tonight. We're in Fayetteville, Arkansas. His team tied at 10 with Baylor. Option. Grovey driven to the ground back at the 7-yard line, a loss of a yard. And again, Hafford using the boundary as an extra defender, turning Quinn back in.
They came after Foster's fullback then, and of course, under the option, Grovey kept it. But Hafford, as you said, made a nice play on Grovey.
The significance of this game in the Southwest Conference is extremely big. Texas Tech with a victory today, not out of the hunt. If Baylor should win, they're not out of the hunt. Arkansas, Texas A&M, and Texas all once beaten. Quarterback draw. Grovey down to about the 2, and remember, they could get a first down without benefit of the touchdown. Daniel Morgan made the tackle, and the crowd wants them to go for it.
Grovey, I thought, should have really gone for it then. He looked like he slid down, went into a slide, and when you're that close to a first down to the goal line, I think you ought to just take off and go for it. Made a mistake there.
And with a score tied at 10, Hatfield will be the Mississippi Riverboat Gambler and go for it. He could get the 3 and take the lead. And now some confusion and a timeout called, and Grovey unhappy that he had to utilize one of those in a close game. He knows he may need it by the time the fourth quarter whirls around.
Here's Grovey right here, and it looks like if he slides in, instead of just really going for it, and I think when you're that close to the goal line or that close to a critical first down, this is a planned draw by the quarterback. Now, he may have slipped, Tim. I don't know. It looked like he might have slipped.
I think he saw 3 Baylor Bears coming high, and he got down low rather than vaulting upward and becoming the high hurdler.
Well, when you're in that kind of a situation and you're that close and every foot makes a difference, you got to really go for it. And I thought that was one of those sail-out situations.
These are two teams, as we see Quinn on the phone, obviously talking with Jack Crow, the offensive coordinator.
And Jack Crow probably told him, why did you go down? You should have gone for it. And you could see Grovey shaking his head.
19-3 as a starter. Richard Wilson is the receivers coach, and he too is on the phone as the percussion section picks it up. They want a touchdown here. Nothing like homecoming, and some cheerleading to go along with it. Big number 75 doing the cheering for the Arkansas Razorbacks.
And he is big. They're going to kick it.
Darren Worrell with the towel in the air. They will go for the 3, and they used a timeout. Remember that.
Now 13 of 15.
Adams will hold number 14. And he puts it through. They get the 3 on 4th and 2, but use a timeout. Remember that as we head to the fourth quarter. Hatfield went the conservative route. Teeing it up for Arkansas, and you hear the chant. Pig suing here in Fayetteville, Arkansas on homecoming night.
I used to hear that a lot. Down in New Orleans.
Reggie Miller is back deep along with Trooper Taylor. You guys had some meetings.
Yeah, we did down there. We finally got them in Memphis.
The Hogs and the Dogs. And this kick is going to angle out of bounds. And they'll have to do it again. And Baylor, of course, happy to see that. The likelihood of getting good field position. And they are playing with the wind here in the third quarter. Other scores this day under the moonlight in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Michigan leading the Illini 17-10 in the fourth. Mackovic and both out of the state of Ohio. Miami of Florida over Pitt 24-3. USC over Arizona 17-3 in the fourth quarter. And Texas trailing Houston, pivotal game in the Southwest Conference, and it appears that BYU, Ty Detmer, the leading passer in the country, is on his way to the Holiday Bowl with that victory over the Air Force. So for those of you just joining us from that Miami Pitt game, we welcome you here to Fayetteville, Arkansas. I'm Tim Brando with Vince Dooley. And this game, as tough and as close as history has projected between Baylor and Arkansas.
You're right. Historically, with the exception of last year, every one of them has gone down to the wire.
In the odd years, 83, 85, 87, and of course now this is the last game this decade. Actually dating all the way back to 81, they had a Titanic tilt that went down to the final seconds. Reggie Miller at his 7th.
A little hole.
Up to the 44-yard line, and how many times have we seen Baylor open up at the 40-yard line or beyond? A 37-yard return. Kenny Hatfield took the 3, Vince, after a timeout had been called on a 4th and 2. We said it was the conservative route, but you liked it.
Well, I don't think it was conservative. I think it was just the logical thing to do. When you got 2 yards, you need to take it. When you've got a kicker like Wright, who's 13. Well, he's now 14 of 16. That's an automatic 2.
A conservative correct call, right?
Okay, you can call it that.
Lovell in at quarterback, number 18, dumping it to Raphael. Edwin Raphael right back in the Hog space. Down to the 36-yard line. Mick Thomas made the tackle.
These are the linebackers, Thomas and Mason. They're split, and then right down the middle comes Raphael, right between the two of them.
The control passing game of the Baylor Bears, so significant in their success under Grant Teaff, and we have an injured Baylor Bear, a big down lineman. It's very difficult to see his number at this point. We'll check it out. They're looking at the knee. Number 78, Larry Vasbinder, the senior from Yorktown, Texas, is the man they're looking at.
It's a good job by Raphael of finding the opening. The two linebackers of Baylor, of Arkansas, Thomas and Mason, split out and left the open lane down the middle, and Raphael took it.
Thing to remember about Baylor in this control passing attack is that they are dumping the ball in a position where Lovell can find his man and Gable. They really are giving the quarterback every chance to succeed, aren't they?
Well, and also Arkansas is not as strong as they were a year ago defensively. And there's some holes because you've got some youth and inexperience in the secondary and at linebacker.
9 out of 11 starters gone from last year's Cotton Bowl team. 3:47 left in the third quarter. Lovell to Mims, who scored Baylor's only touchdown, and David Mims is horse-collared at the line of scrimmage. Mick Thomas made the tackle again.
Mick Thomas, number 48, a junior college transfer. Nice job of dipping inside the block and grabbing a hold of Mims. And you need to grab a hold of him. But he has really been a help to Arkansas's defense. Mick Thomas, 2 out of junior college, has helped this defense this year.
Recruited also by Arizona State. The Hogs felt fortunate to get him. Second down and 11. Murray, and
here he comes.
And he got to Lovell. Well, calling it incompleted forward pass. Chad Rowland was back there as well, giving the pressure to Ed Lovell.
Chad Rowland and also Mick Thomas on the blitz. And we'll see it right here, Timmy. There's up the top of your screen. He's anxious to get going, Mick Thomas, and he does go. He and Rowland kind of combine, and here they come. And Lovell gets rid of the ball.
Defensive coordinator Bob Trott told us that this is not necessarily a blitzing defense, but he thought they might come at these young quarterbacks. Baylor's offense has sputtered somewhat this year. 3rd and 11. Lovell. Incomplete. And Bobby Jack Goforth dropped it. Pass thrown a bit behind him, but Goforth, at one point, the leading receiver on this team before a massive knee injury sidelined him, missed it. Lovell's upset with himself because the pass thrown behind him. You look at that knee, that left knee brace, Vince. As you look at scores, SC now leading Arizona by 21. That left knee, he blew out his entire knee to Goforth a year ago. One ligament was holding it, and he's recovered, and it was a magnificent human interest story on that Baylor team. 4th down and 11.
There's a timeout, but I think the corrective surgery today is so much better than it's been.
Yeah.
And then when you take that improvement in the medical techniques and then drive and determination to want to come back, as in the case of Goforth, you're getting a lot of players back.
A 55-yard attempt for Ireland with the wind at his back. It looks good. Whoa! And it has been a tough year for Grant Teaff. This is a coach that in the Texas A&M game saw an 80-yard punt nullified by a penalty, and then on the next play, his punter dropped the ball in the end zone, and Texas A&M got a touchdown to help them win the game.
That was tough. Here's Ireland. He whacks it nice. And it looked, certainly it was right down the middle, but it must have hit on the front part of the crossbar, and it did, and bounced back in. Yeah, the crowd is excited about that. And of course, They're not. Oh, that's tough. No. That's the Ireland. He thought he had it. Oh, no. He's gone down to the ground. And of course, yeah, he's happy. Look at the red shirt, happy.
Ireland, by the way, missed a field goal. As good as he's been, he missed the one that could have tied Texas A&M late in that game. 2:33 remaining. Arkansas clings to their 3-point lead.
Option. Rouse.
Well, you just can't run wide on Baylor.
Not on Blackman.
Robert Blackman dragging him down back at the 34-yard line. Chris Fowler will update you on scores and give you the facts surrounding these games. Coach Sweeney's club big over New Mexico State. Boy, the Golden Bears trying to ride the success of their victory last week again this week. San Jose State over Utah State. Nevada Reno shutting out the running Rebels 38-0. Randall Cunningham played for UNLV. Sometimes it pays to watch teams like that. 2nd and 13.
Play action.
Over the middle, Winston, the tight end, out to the 42. Now with extra effort to the 44-yard line. Gary Joe Kinney made the tackle again.
Matt Winston has a brother, Rodney Winston, who is a defensive back. And both of them are very good students.
Dirt Winston was a linebacker, Pittsburgh Steelers, New Orleans Saints, great player. I bet you're seeing a lot of 2nd and 3rd generation football players now.
Well, I had 6 or 7 myself.
3rd down and 3. Roby up to the 45-yard line. Robin Jones, the sophomore left defensive end out of Dallas, Texas, made the stop.
He was tackled at the 46-yard line.
Baylor's defense has done an excellent job on Grovey. They really have pursued extremely well. There's Jones, 82. And they're going to have to punt. I don't think there's any question here.
Well, the decision by Hatfield to take the 3 looms large now in the wake of the crossbar getting in the way of Jeff Ireland's 55-yard attempt.
We still got a complete quarter of football, and it's going to be a dandy 4th quarter, I got a feeling, Tim.
Meacham gets all of this one, sending Anderson back, and it will go into the end zone for the touchback. 54 yards this time. 30 seconds remaining. Field goals sometimes can pay off, and sometimes not.
Well, here's the kick by Ireland that hit the crossbar. And let's see just where it hits it. Look at here. There's the crossbar. There's the ball. And right in the front of it. Now, boy, you're talking about a game of inches.
50-50, though. I really thought it hit further up front. That was almost right in the middle of the crossbar.
It will drive a coach crazy. And Coach Taft has had his tough luck this year.
1st down and 10. Lovell back in at quarterback. And a counter to Mims.
Look out.
Mims beyond the 35 to the 38-yard line. Patrick Williams hauling him down. An 18-yard pickup.
Mims seems to get lost. He's running in there behind the fullback. But watch, he knows where the daylight is, and he's got that speed. And then he gets a real good block from Pierce, number 88. This guy's got enough speed that if he finds a crack, he can break it.
This will be the last play of the 3rd quarter. Quick drop. A shoulder fake. And now up in the air, and Mims saves the day for Baylor. Boy, that could have been a turnover and a touchdown. And that will end the 3rd quarter.
What a way to end.
Scott Long forced that one along with Chad Rowland, the nose guard, giving pressure to Lovell. The Arkansas Razorbacks have the lead, 13-10 through 3 quarters. Baylor looking at a 2nd and 16 situation at their own 31 with Vince Dooley. I'm Tim Brando. Offset I. Lovell looking for Murray. Incomplete. Right between 2 defenders. Ken Benson knocking it away. And our storyline. Fayetteville, Arkansas. The Hogs getting it done on the ground with Rouse. 18 rushes for 74 yards for James Rouse. And
Arkansas with 182 yards, but remember they're averaging 331 a game, which is 8th in the nation.
Gable 5 of 11, but he's been spelled much of the way by Ed Lovell. And Lovell is in there now. 3rd and 16. Again, into double and triple coverage. Anderson and Miller both in the general area. Aaron Jackson, the strong safety, over there to provide some coverage. And Baylor forced to punt again.
Well, I rather suspect that maybe they'll go back to Gable. Lovell gives them a little change of pace, but he sure makes it exciting because you don't know what he's going to do and where the ball's going to go.
Is that translation too exciting for Vince if you were on the sideline?
I think I'd be ready for change.
Rudder to punt it away. Sending Horton back on his heels to the 23. And he's down there. 14:41 remaining, and the Hogs are happy. College football Saturday. Baylor versus Arkansas is brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By Delta Airlines. We love to fly through our fine quality beers to be enjoyed responsibly. Remember, no win to say win. Tim Brando and Vince Dooley back in Fayetteville, and Arkansas again begins a drive relatively deep in their own territory at their 23.
And it's hard to go to distance on a Baylor defense as good as this. Fullback,
Foster. That's 9 yards for Barry Foster.
Robert Blackman knocked him down, the senior from Van Vleck, Texas.
In order for the fullback to run, you've got to have some blocking, and they did fire off and give Foster some running room. Francis, and they're going right at him. He gets blocked right here, and he overruns it, then has to spin back out. And Mabry, number 56, is their probably top offensive lineman, and he makes the block on Francis.
And Blackman is down.
And that would be a tough loss. He made the tackle, and when you get two people like Blackman and Foster running into each other, you got a collision, and it looks like Blackman might have ducked his head a little bit, and that's bad news right here. Yeah, he came under him, and he hit him hard, ducked his shoulder, and came under him.
Other scores on this November Saturday. Well, the Buffalo's juggernaut continues past Pat Jones's Cowboys. Kansas goes down to Nebraska again. Oklahoma, well, Barry Switzer would be proud. K-State goes down again. Iowa State, the Cyclones, beating Missouri by 2 touchdowns in the Big 8. And Houston leading Texas, and boy, is that crucial to the crowd watching our game. At halftime, Andre Ware is wearing them out. And we'll tell you why that's significant as this game progresses. Foster up to the 35-yard line.
Historically, Arkansas has been a fullback offense in the fourth quarter because they've used not only Foster, but Harshaw, number 34, who also has played a lot. And by using 2 fullbacks, they keep them fresh and go in the fourth quarter. Now, that hadn't been the case tonight. We'll see if Foster can carry the whole load by himself, because every play the fullback is either hitting or getting hit.
Arkansas is, if they're going to win this game, they're going to have to do it in a different manner than they have won all year against this defense, aren't they? Look at time of possession. That's something that's always there. They've doubled Baylor, but yardage on first down hasn't necessarily been there.
No, it hasn't been. But one thing it has been, they have not turned the ball over, and that has been an Arkansas trait.
1st and 10 from the 34. Nice catch by Horton, the coach on the field for this Hog offense, out to the 41-yard line. Now, we talked about the significance of this game and the fact that Texas is apparently on their way to defeat against Houston. They're down 27-9 at halftime. If Texas were to lose, that gives them 2. Now, they still have to play Texas A&M. The Aggies are idle this week, and A&M still must play Arkansas. So a loss by Texas would certainly help matters, and Baylor's not out of the mix. If Baylor were to win here, And then a number of other things happen between A&M, Arkansas, and Texas. They could go to the Cotton Bowl.
It's a lot of ifs.
Complete. Cedric Fillmore out of Little Rock, Arkansas, and the freshman has a first down, but a marker's down as well.
Oh, and it looks like it may be against Baylor. We'll see.
You mentioned a lot of ifs, Vince. It's happened, though, in '84. A team with 2 losses won this league.
Here's Grovey, who really is playing well in the fourth quarter and throwing the ball well. He hits Fillmore, who is a former quarterback, right on the button. Nice pass and nice catch. Finally brought down by the safety man, Welch. In order to go a long distance, you got to have a big play in your drive. And that was a big play.
And the personal foul doesn't hurt either. 1st and 10 now inside the Baylor 20 at the 19. 2 minutes are gone in the fourth quarter. Arkansas leads by 3. How good is the Baylor defense? We'll find out.
There he goes again.
Foster down to the 16-yard line. Curtis Hafford, the sophomore from Jasper, Texas, making the tackle.
Seems like almost when in doubt, run to fullback. There's Foster in his little squatty stance, but he can come up and cut in all different directions, which he does then, cutting back inside of the Summers block.
Peripheral vision certainly affected positively by that stance. And there's Rouse inside the 15 to the 13. Hafford again, number 99, in on the tackle. Ken Hatfield last year was 10-0 going into the game with Miami. A lot of non-believers, but had Atwater hung on in the end zone to that interception, boy, it would have been different come bowl day in January of this year.
Wow, would it have been different. And it was that close. You're exactly right. It was that close.
Arkansas would have been yet another unbeaten team on New Year's Day, other than West Virginia and Notre Dame. Grovey down to the 7-yard line.
Well, that time he got his first down, and it's fine to go down. This is what they have done on all mush yardage, sprinting out. Now he has the option to throw it or to run it, and he wisely kept the ball, made his first down, and then took care of himself by going down.
Fayetteville, Arkansas, Razorback Stadium on homecoming here in November. And the Hogs trying to make it a happy homecoming. 1st and goal from the 7. Inside again, Foster down to the 5. Kenny again involved on the stop. Also, number 81, Reggie Howard, and 77, Santana Dotson.
Howard made the tackle, 2nd down and goal.
I'd say Arkansas is mixing their plays extremely well, and Jack Crow is calling the plays, which is quite a switch and quite a testimony to Kenny Hatfield to be able to give that up, because he called them all of the time.
Grant Tebbs having to put up with those calls via that man's headsets. 2nd and goal. The option. Rouse, and Welch is right there. Boy, the run support from the free safety so important. And Mike Welch, sort of a straight line guy, a guy that really loves to pursue, doesn't necessarily have a lateral pursuit, was on a beeline for his man.
Well, once he beelines, the only problem here is I think he ducked, went down a little low, and sometimes a back can get out of that. I'd say he ought to stay up a little bit and get under his rear, his tail, and get some balance and run him on out.
And explode upon contact.
Okay, that coaching.
I remember that clinic.
Who's in there?
3rd and goal. 3rd and goal at the 4. Dickerson in the game. Grovey nearly intercepted. Blackman who was injured moments ago, back in the game, and he nearly had the pick. Pass was intended for Winston, the tight end.
Blackman, who got hurt, is Grant. Good play. Yeah, he's excited about it.
He's been winning with defense.
He sure has, and he's forced a field goal again, which means only 6 points.
Well, we said we'd find out how good the Baylor defense was on this drive, and they proved it. 21-yard attempt now. Todd Wright boots it through. Arkansas gets 3. They lead by 6 in Fayetteville. Been tough since Coach Shell took over, and you'll see them tomorrow night on ESPN. Here, Arkansas leading Baylor 16-10 here in the fourth quarter. 10 minutes and 17 seconds remaining in our game, and the scoring drive for Arkansas. While it only netted 3 points, again, 73 yards, Vince. They go the distance. 10 plays, 4:34 off the clock.
But they had the benefit of the big play with a pass and then the penalty, 15 yards.
Todd Wright will kick off this time rather than Glenn Ray Hines.
And Wright's field goal makes him now 15 of 17.
Having a tremendous year. 3 yards deep. Miller brings it up to the 24, and let's get back to our college football studios and Chris Fowler. Chris?
Okay, guys, Michigan on their way to going to 6-0 in the Big Ten. Tony Bowles capping a terrific day, a 13-yard touchdown run. Wolverines lead it over Illinois 24-10. You can see him next week against Minnesota on ESPN.
And for those of you that may have been watching that game, we welcome you here. 16-10, Arkansas leading Baylor with 10-12 remaining. Tim Brando along with Vince Doolin. And the Bears at their 24, 1st and 10. And Lovell is still in at quarterback. Here's the counter pitch to Mims. And the Hogs are ready at the 21-yard line. Again, Arkansas's rushing defense only yielding 36 yards to Baylor today. That's been a storyline.
Well, that's, excuse me, important as far as Arkansas is concerned, because they have not given up much rushing yardage, but they have given up a lot of passing yardage, and that's what Baylor has got to do if they're going to win this football game. They got to win it throwing.
9:35 and counting. 2nd and 13. Mims over the middle, out to the 29-yard line. It will be 3rd down and a passing situation. Mick Thomas made the tackle for Arkansas. Well, are you surprised Lovell's still in the game?
Well, that's why I guess I'm up here and the coaches are down now.
And that's why I'm here, to ask you questions like that.
I would go the other way.
Gable, by the way, once the ball was at midfield in the drive for the field goal before halftime, came in after Lovell got them to midfield. 3rd and 6. Incomplete. Frost, the intended receiver, David Frost, and Aaron Jackson was draped around him. Out of Denison, Texas, number 44.
Now, that's where they have to have improvement. He was a good running back, but because of so many good running backs, they needed help in the secondary. And he was good enough to make the adjustment. Hadn't played since high school.
Rudder will punt it away. Boy, what a day he's had. 54 yards his average, hit a 63-yarder moments ago. And Tim Horton is waiting around his 32-yard line. Another good punt. And the fair catch called for at the 29-yard line. Well, the Arkansas Razorbacks have had their share of quality kick returners. Remember, Lance Allworth made a great name for himself with the Chargers and with the Cowboys. But what could he do in Arkansas? Well, he was a great kick returner. He set a Razorback record with an 18.7 punt return average. Also ranks 4th on Arkansas's all-time kickoff return list with 740 yards. Bambi was his name in the NFL, but he was Lance in Arkansas.
Good run.
An I formation now for the Hogs. And Rouse gets it up to the 34-yard line. 8:28 remaining from Fayetteville, Arkansas. Tim Brando and Vince Dooley, and the Hogs leading the Bears 16-10. And what are the Hogs eating?
After something. Whoa, he can reverse himself.
I think there may be a few crickets that get around on that artificial turf in 80-degree weather. It was 81 degrees at kickoff today. Still in the high 60s, low 70s right now.
Well, that enters into the 4th quarter.
Foster, nothing doing up the middle, and the Bears were all over him. 95, Marcus Lowe, the Oklahoma transfer, played for Barry Switzer, was a starter as a freshman, dropped out of school, went to a junior college after blowing out his knee at OU, still has 3 years of eligibility remaining for Grant Tabb.
They've got a lot of reserve strength in the defensive line of Baylor. There's a lot of good athletes there, and Lowe is one example.
There you see Arkansas all over the ground, not much in the air. What do you think?
They got to continue. Hey, the draw. Here he goes.
Rouse down to the 46-yard line. Hafford made the stop. A 19-yard gain. Under normal circumstances, that's a passing formation even for Arkansas, what with their new versatility. But they have been getting ground up the middle tonight.
I think the good example of the new offense, it is more versatile, and that was the draw from the deep I formation, which was a good call on 3rd and 5.
We welcome those of you that have been watching the Michigan-Illinois game. The Wolverines win by 2 touchdowns, 24-10. Here, it's Foster again on 1st and 10 for Arkansas. Down to the 43-yard line. Marcus Lowe again in on the tackle. Next week on ESPN, our Big Ten coverage will get underway with the Wolverines taking on the Golden Gophers of Minnesota. And that will be followed on College Football Saturday by a good one in the CFA, Virginia and Maryland. And the Cavaliers with a share of the ACC title waiting in the wings. And later that night, Ron Franklin and Kevin Kiley will have Clemson and South Carolina. That intrastate war in the state of South Carolina. 2nd and 7. Ralph to the 36-yard line, near another first down for Arkansas. And the clock continues to tick. James Francis made the stop.
Here's the option. He pitches out to Rouse, who's really had a year, and there's a good hit right in here somewhere. Yeah, looks like Francis going over the bottom.
We talked earlier about Francis being the brother of Ron Francis of the Dallas Cowboys. They were raised by their Aunt Maggie. Their mother died of cancer when they were only 8 years old, and Ron, now with the Cowboys, bought her a brand new home. Now, James is obviously going to be a pro.
And I guess what they said, well, what do you think that she wants? And he said, whatever she wants, I'll buy it.
Yeah, James Francis said when he turns pro,
Aunt Maggie
will get whatever she wants from me. Notre Dame beating SMU, and Lou Holtz was nice to the Mustangs in the second half. They led 42-6 in the second quarter of that football game. As you look at the rest of the scores from the top 20, Miami trying to stay in the title hunt with that win over Pitt. And of course, Chris Fowler will update you on all of the facts surrounding these scores on our scoreboard show immediately following this game prior to LSU and Alabama. Georgia wins at the cocktail party.
That's a big win for the Dogs.
3rd down and a yard to go now. Power I formation. Rouse high jumping, and he landed on his feet at the 33-yard line. Robert Blackman the first to get there. That's a first down, and Arkansas controls it with 5:40 remaining.
Good surge by the offensive line off the line of scrimmage. Gives Rouse enough room to get off the runway. And he does behind Barry Foster, who also flew over the top. You could have given Foster, number 18, the ball. Rouse is running with a lot of confidence.
1st and 10. Option. Rouse has plenty of room. Blackman gets in the way, ushering him out of bounds just shy of the Baylor Bear 20-yard line. Fayetteville, Arkansas, the site. Arkansas trying to remain once beaten and much in the Cotton Bowl hunt, leading Baylor by 6. I'm Tim Brando with Vince Dooley. 5:15 remaining in this Southwest Conference shootout. The Bears are 3-2 and hopeful of still being a factor, if not a spoiler. 3:30 is elapsed on this drive off the clock. The 8th play coming up for Arkansas. Foster tripped up at the line of scrimmage by Reggie Howard, still falling forward to the 18-yard line. USC well on their way to Pasadena with that 21-point blowout at Arizona. Michigan, as we mentioned earlier, with a victory over the Illini. California doing well with Troy Taylor. Washington leading Oregon State. And Utah. Scott Mitchell, a fine quarterback, over New Mexico right now.
Holding, offense, repeat first down.
This is a big penalty. In fact, they're all big. But this drive right here by Arkansas is important because they need to get some points. They need to get over than just leading by 6, which can make the difference.
First down and 20. Foster, boy, carrying the Bears with him. 3 of them draped all over him, yet he still managed to get to the 25-yard line. Garrett Long from Hearn, Texas, the first to get there.
Foster is just simply amazing. He has played the whole ball game, and he finds a crack, and he keeps his legs moving. Got back about 7 or 8 of the yards that was lost on the penalty. They want, I think, get it in position, at least get a field goal out of this.
2nd down and 15. Foster to the 19-yard line. That's 6 more. So on 1st and 20, he gets 5, and then he gets 6, and now you've got 3rd down and roughly half the yardage you needed when you open the series with a 1st and 20. Robin Jones made the stop.
They're going to come right back, probably with a full back to the wide side of the field, or perhaps the option off of it.
Setting up for 3?
I think so.
And those goalposts are awaiting Todd Wright, who's already connected for a couple of 3 field goals so far tonight. He could be our player of the game.
Oh-ho.
Marker down, and that could spell trouble for Arkansas if they have to go backward. Lloyd Dale, our referee in the white hat, will clear things up for us.
Dead ball, false start, offense.
Not the place to go back 5 yards from.
Looks like they might sprint out. Then they started 2 on that one, and that way you give the quarterback Grovey the opportunity. If he's wide open, throw it. If he's not, he can keep it and run up in there. It's a good running play.
Ken Hatfield, 4-1 versus Baylor in his career, looking for his 80th victory at Arkansas. 3rd and 14. Rouse, and the Bears are waiting for him. See, that's a big difference. You go from a 3rd and 9 to a 3rd and 14 makes a big difference in this Arkansas offense.
Well, they got it lined up right down the middle for the field goal, and this field goal is important to them because it puts them over the 7 that they need in order to win.
And a timeout has been called, so Wright will have time to think about it as he goes for his 4th tonight. 3 for 3 thus far from 38, 19, and 21. This one would be his longest of this game, a 40-yard try. But he's right smack dab in the middle of those uprights. Gary Adams to hold.
Yep.
Plenty of room. Hatfield is happy, but don't you know Grant Taft on the other sidelines is thinking about that crossbar on that 55-yarder? And our score, Arkansas leading Baylor by 9 with 2:56 remaining. With Vince Dooley, I'm Tim Brando, and the scoring drive for Arkansas, lengthy again, productive again, right from 40 yards, his 4th field goal. He's now 16 of 18 on the year, and more importantly, Vince, 5:39 off the clock, 48 yards.
And Baylor's got to score twice. They've got to get a touchdown. They've got to get a field goal. And Arkansas does run the clock when they get the football.
Trooper Taylor and Reggie Miller are back deep. Wright boots it. And Miller will bring it out. Wow. They were waiting for him at the 19-yard line. Well, Arkansas wants to get back to the Cotton Bowl. Who'll ever forget in '65, Ken Hatfield playing on the '64 Arkansas team, trailing 7-3 to Nebraska. And here, the Razorbacks drove 80 yards, scored on Bobby Burnett's run to lead 10-7. And Nebraska drove in the final minutes, but a sack by Ronnie Mack Smith and Jim Williams, then another Williams sack on the final play of the game to seal the 10-7 victory. Arkansas gave up just 57 points the entire year. A team record. They won the national championship for Frank Broyles. Lovell. Well, Chad Rowland all over him. Out of Sherman, Texas, the junior. Speaking of Arkansas and the Cotton Bowl, now remember this, they had just lost that game to Miami, a heartbreaking 1-point loss before losing to Troy Aikman and UCLA. And oh, by the way, the Dogs.
I knew you'd point that out after I pointed it out.
Now what happened to you guys?
Well, we got off to a good start. That was the shoestring, counter shoestring that I'd like to forget about.
One of the biggest wins for Charlie McClendon was over that unbeaten Arkansas
That was
team.
a big win. I remember that one well.
Pat Screen and the Tigers were a 7-3 team. Most people figured Arkansas would hammer them. On 2nd and 15. Complete to Greg Anderson. Out to the 25-yard line. Aaron Jackson made the tackle.
Nice scramble by Lovell to stay alive and throw the football.
And a timeout called by Baylor. 1:51 remaining. Bama and LSU waiting in the wings, but here it's Pig Suey. 10, Arkansas leading Baylor in the 4th quarter. I'm Tim Brando along with Vince Dooley. The Bears have exhausted one of their remaining timeouts. Grant Taft was hopeful of staying in the Cotton Bowl fray with a victory here, but right now it appears that Arkansas is on their way to remaining once beaten, and that means a great deal in the Southwest Conference race.
They have been a tough luck team. They really had A&M whipped, and of course the field goal that bounced back was a tough one.
3 Cotton Bowls in Grant Taft's tenure at Baylor. 3rd down and 5. Mims intercepted.
Pat Burris. Arkansas first down at the 10.
Flipped it right in. He just missed it. Number 5, David Mims, and then it just came right into the hands of Pat Burris, number 13. And that all but cinches the ball game for Arkansas.
There's Burris. Junior transfer. 190-pounder, originally signed with Clemson, and Grant Taft can't believe it.
That it's been tough on Grant, and what a credit he is to the profession. He's been the longtime chairman of the Ethics Committee of the American Football Coaches Association.
Down to the 8-yard line goes Rouse. Interestingly, on the other sidelines,
Hefford and Blackman made
Ken
the stop.
Hatfield, you mentioned the Ethics Commission for the Football Coaches Association. Ken Hatfield is on the board for the College Football Association as the only member representing the coaches on that board with the CFA.
Well, he's chairman of the coaches committee, and he is on the board representing the coaches. And that's what's great about the CFA, because the coaches have a real voice in what goes on with the College Football Association, and they've been very responsible, like Grant and also like Kenny.
Foster down to the 5-yard line. Our rude players of the game. Not surprisingly, special teams and defense represented. Todd Wright, 16 out of 18 on the year, 4 for 4 tonight. The 40-yarder putting this one out of reach. And for the Baylor Bears, Robert Blackman, the strong safety for Baylor, who was involved in many, many tackles tonight. He, along with Gary Joe Kenny, maybe overshadowed the All-American James Francis a bit.
Well, they kept Francis out of the big play, and that's where he makes a difference.
On the delayed counter, Rouse down to about the 1. And time is running out. Texas is trailing 27-9 to Houston. That would give them their second loss. A&M is waiting for the showdown with Arkansas in the Southwest Conference. Texas Tech has already won. They have 2 defeats in the league, 8 victories overall. Things are looking brighter in the Southwest Conference, a league that was shot with controversy and teams on probation now have coaches of great caliber. And these 2 men personified it.
They are competitors, they're gentlemen, and they're sportsmen. And they do compete, and they're excellent football coaches. And I guess they're part of the coaching fraternity. We've taken many trips with Grant and his wife Donnell, and with Kenny and his wife Sandy.
All right, that'll do it for Vince Dooley. I'm Tim Brando saying so long from Fayetteville, Arkansas. Our final 19-10. We'll see you next week when Maryland takes on Virginia. Let's get back to Chris Fowler in our college football studios. Chris?
Okay, thanks, guys. LSU and Alabama.